Has the drop rate in this dungeon been secretly nerfed? A heavy armor shield warrior cleaved apart a level 17 mutated goblin with one axe strike, then cursed at the measly 17 merit points he received. This is pure torture. Beside him, an archer stowed his longbow and wiped sweat from his face. We've been grinding for nearly an hour, and each of us only got 500 merit points. At this rate, forget topping the leaderboard. When will we ever earn enough merit to move into Sky-tier dormitories? Sky-tier? You're delusional. The mage on the team rolled his eyes and chugged a low-grade mana potion. Sky-tier dorms are standalone villas, complete with spirit-gathering formations and private training chambers. With our damage output, I'd count myself blessed if we can even get Earth-tier quarters, a 4-person suite with private bathrooms. All right, enough complaining. A few more goblins up ahead. Let's finish them and log out. No, exit the dungeon to eat. The shield warrior lifted his shield and prepared to press onward. Suddenly, a deafening crack echoed from the treetops overhead. What was that? The mage looked up. Several massive shadows plummeted from the sky, slamming hard into the ground a dozen meters in front of them. The earth shook violently, dirt and dead leaves scattering in every direction. These were enormous monsters, wolf heads, bare bodies, spider legs. A nauseating stench of rot clung to them, alongside dark purple abyssal energy. Abyssal Chimeric Beast Elite Level, 25 Strength, 2400 Agility, 2600 Stamina, 3500 Spirit, 2200 Skills, Chimeric Flesh, Deadly Strike. Whoa, Level 25 Elite Mob. Seeing the red names floating above the creatures, the shield warrior's eyes nearly popped out of his head. Why is something like this spawning out in the open dungeon? Before they could react, the abyssal chimeric beast let out a thunderous roar. Its spider-like legs coiled and launched its bulky body forward, closing the gap in an instant. It raised its black-scaled bare paw and smashed it down onto the shield warrior. Boom. The shield warrior could not even activate a skill. His Blackarong-grade shield caved in and warped on impact. 28,691. He went flying like a cannonball, crashing heavily into a tree trunk. His health bar emptied instantly. Lu. The archer froze in terror and loosed an arrow instinctively. A wind-enchanted magic arrow struck the chimeric beast's hide, not even leaving a faint scratch. 168, a pitiful damage number popped up. The chimeric beast twisted its head. Its blood-red eyes locked onto the archer and mage. Run. Flee. These stats are completely broken. We cannot fight this. The mage screamed and turned tail, abandoning his staff lying on the ground. The archers scrambled madly, sprinting back the way they had come. The same scene unfolded in multiple locations across the dungeon. Near the dungeon teleportation gate, the portal meant for new students to safely exit now flickered with eerie dark purple light. Dozens of blood-soaked freshmen fled in panic toward it. Hurry, step into the teleport circle and we can get out of here. A warrior at the front shouted and dove straight for the portal's blue shimmering veil. Yet, the very moment he was about to make contact, whoosh, a wall of bone woven from dark purple thorns burst up from the ground, cutting him clean in two. 49,240. The warrior's corpse dropped, dissolving into white light and leaving only a glaring pool of blood behind. The freshman behind him skidded to a halt, staring in horror at the thornbone wall blocking the portal. Perched atop the wall stood a girl in a second-year cleric's robe. Xiaoya. Her gray, lifeless eyes looked down upon the desperate freshman below. The cross-shaped staff in her hands glowed with dark purple radiance. Trying to leave? Xiaoya's voice overlapped, rough and distorted, a twisted smile spreading across her face. The show has only just begun. The audience cannot walk out mid-performance. Who are you? Why trap us at the safe zone? A freshman mage shouted in desperation. Xiaoya offered no reply. She merely waved her staff. The soil around the portal churned. 5 foul-smelling chimeric beasts clawed their way out, cutting off every escape route for the trapped students. At that exact moment, several sharp whooshes cut through the air. 3 second-year students burst out from the forest and landed before the portal. Xiaoya, have you lost your mind? Remove this trap and stop attacking the freshmen at once. The squad leader at the front drew his sword, bright flames igniting along its blade. They had noticed the dungeon anomaly, abandoned hunting new student parties, and rushed over to intervene. Oh, Xiaoya tilted her head and regarded the 3 upperclassmen. You have arrived just in time. The Great One requires more sacrifices. She snapped her fingers. Roar. 3 smaller chimeric beasts lunged out of the nearby woods, charging straight for the enforcement squad. The squad leader's expression hardened. Abyssal creatures. Form up and defend. Boom, boom, boom. Flame magic clashed violently against dark purple energy right in front of the teleport gate. But, barely 1 minute into combat. Captain, this monster has absurd magic resistance. My fire spells barely scratch it. We cannot hold on. Its attacks carry corrosive damage. My shield is steadily draining health. A scream rang out. One enforcement squad member had his arm torn clean off by an abyssal hound. Fall back. Send a distress signal. We are outmatched. The captain made a split-second call, tossed down a smoke bomb, and fled deep into the woods with his 2 remaining teammates. Even second-year hunter units had been forced into retreat. Witnessing this, the freshman trapped behind the bone wall sank into total despair. It's over, we can't get out. The portal is sealed, and those one-shot monsters are behind us. We're going to die in here. Somebody please save us. Several girls with fragile mental fortitude collapsed to the ground weeping. The boys wore ashen faces, their hands trembling around their weapons. Against overwhelming power and stat advantages, they were utterly helpless. Everyone, stay calm. Suddenly, a boy holding a large shield shouted over the noise. We cannot just wait to die. If the portal is blocked, we go find help. Find help? Who? Even upperclassmen got beaten back. Who else can rescue us? Someone asked hopelessly. The shield warrior swallowed hard, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. Have you forgotten the freak from the college entrance examination? Su-chun. We go find Divine Su. That's right. A mage slapped his thigh, grasping at the last straw. I just checked the ranking board. His points are already over 5,000. He can definitely handle these monsters. He's traveling with Lin Shurqing too. That's tier support. The 2 of them must have a solution. But where even is Divine Su? Search for him. The mage roared. Spread out across the whole map and locate Su-chun. If he intervenes, we stand a chance to live. Boom. A level 22 enraged ironclad bear crashed to the ground. Its massive body convulsed briefly before its health bar emptied completely. You have slain enraged ironclad bear. Gain 220 EXP, 22 merit points. Su-chan waved away residual lightning crackling at the tip of his staff and yawned. Lin Shurqing stowed her own staff, stepped forward, and deftly picked up a few gold coins and a dark glowing piece of equipment from the bear's corpse. Black iron grade bracers. She tossed the bracers dismissively into her inventory and turned towards Su-chun. Hey Xiaosu, we've been grinding monsters for over an hour now. Are you really not going to go rob other players' merit points? I saw on the leaderboard that Zhao Tianyu in second place is running around picking fights everywhere. This selection contest has practically turned into a battle royale. Lin Shurqing retied her ponytail with a golden hair ribbon. If we circle the outer zones, merit points would pile up fast. Su-chan sat down beneath a tree and chugged a mana potion from his backpack. Steal merit points? No rush. Su-chan spoke casually. If we go robbing now, how many merit points could these freshmen possibly hold? Running all over the place would just waste stamina. Fatten them up first. He grinned. The contest rules explicitly allow player versus player looting. That means as time passes, merit points will keep flowing upward to the top-ranked teams. If we rob people right now, we're only picking up crumbs. Once everyone has stockpiled plenty of merit, we'll head straight for the portal entrance and block it off. Su-chun mimed a neck-closing gesture. Take down those high-value targets all at once. Fast, efficient. Why run around chasing random players? Lin Shurqing stared for a moment, then rolled her eyes. You've got a devious mind, but you have a point. If you started snatching points now, I'm worried your damage output would instantly one-shot everyone you touch. As she spoke, she turned her gaze toward the other ironclad bear corpses nearby. However, her movements froze the instant her eyes landed on them. Flesh and tissue writhed and melted in grotesque fashion. Dark purple vapors billowed out of their mouths and nostrils, corroding the surrounding grass into blackened scorch marks. A bone-chilling, deeply unsettling aura spread outward. Warning: portions of dungeon monsters have undergone abyssal corruption. Xiaosu, Lin Shurqing's voice trembled slightly as she pointed toward the mutating bear carcasses. What is happening? Why are these monsters turning abyssal corrupted? Su-chen's easy demeanor vanished instantly. He stood, walked over to the bodies, and frowned watching the billowing dark purple mist. Nothing special. Su-chen kept his tone level, offering little explanation. Lin Shurqing was unconvinced. She lifted her head and looked at him. The youth's expression stayed calm, as if he was long accustomed to this horrifying abyssal aura. You. Lin Shurqing's eyes grew watery. Are you cursed by the abyss? Ever since enrollment, she had repeatedly heard from Lin Wei and Lu Qingyin that Su-chen seemed afflicted with some sort of curse. Back then she had only been consumed by petty jealousy and paid it no mind. But now, It was obvious Su Chun bore an abyssal curse. Su Chun wasted no words and unleashed a chain lightning spell. Crack! Azure lightning arced across the corrupted bear remains. Even in their abyssal twisted state, they dissolved into greenish ooze in a single second under his potent poison. You have slain enraged ironclad bear abyssal corrupted. Gained 440 EXP, 22 merit points. EXP doubled, merit points unchanged. Su Chun made a dismissive sound. Clearly the school never accounted for the possibility of monsters becoming corrupted by abyssal energy. Xiao Su, Lin Shiqing bit her lip, her voice growing quieter. Being cursed by the abyss, it must hurt terribly. Su Chun saw the glistening moisture welling in her eyes and briefly struggled for how to respond. Whoa, hold on, cut that out. Su Chun quickly waved his hands. Quit making things up. It's just some monsters suffering abyssal corruption, nothing more. You're still lying to me. Lin Shiqing sniffled, turning her head away and wiping at her eyes under the pretense of mopping sweat off her face. I mean it, Xiao Su. You're my longtime rival. If you go dying from some stupid curse backlash, I will never forgive you. Whenever you run dungeons from now on, I'm coming along. I'll cover all your health and mana potions. Do you hear me? Su Chun laughed, seeing her fiery, riled-up reaction. Fine, fine. Lady Lin is rolling in wealth. Guess I'll rely on you to keep me supplied. Mid-conversation, violent commotion erupted in the nearby bushes. Help! Somebody help! This way? I checked the map coordinates. Divine Su should be around here. Screams of terror rang out. More than a dozen wounded freshmen stumbled and scrambled out of the forest. Right on their heels, 3 massive abyssal chimeric beasts roared in hot pursuit. Abyssal chimeric beast elite level, 25 strength, 2400 agility, 2600 stamina, 3500 spirit, 2200 skills, chimeric flesh, deadly strike. What manner of monsters are these? Lin Shiqing paled and raised her staff immediately. These creatures are not native to this dungeon. Su Chun's brows drew together. Average stats above 2000, definitely not monsters intended for this selection dungeon. The school's objective was to train students, not get them killed. Without hesitation, he cast Chain Lightning. Crack! Lightning bounced between the 3 chimeric beasts, jumping 9 times in a single second. Against beasts with 3,500 stamina, this raw spell damage alone would not kill them outright. But the next instant, 145373518, 145381584, 145389650. The dozen fleeing freshmen barely processed what had just happened. The terrifying monsters chasing them moments ago simply evaporated on the spot. They're dead. One-shot kill. It's Divine Su. It's really him. We're saved. The freshmen collapsed onto the ground. Several broke down and cried out of relief. Yet Su Chun paid no attention to their cheers. His gaze locked firmly on the shattered remains of the chimeric beasts. No system kill notification popped up. Scattered chunks of flesh and limbs hit the ground and immediately began writhing and merging back together. Within mere seconds, the 3 enormous carcasses split apart and reformed into 6 smaller, yet still ferocious chimeric beasts. Su Chun cast Identify on the newly spawned creatures. Split offspring, abyssal chimeric beast, elite level, 20 strength, 1600 agility, 1600 stamina, 2500 spirit, 1200 skills, chimeric flesh, deadly strike. They can split. Lin Shiqing gasped in shock. Su Chun raised an eyebrow, faintly surprised. Quite an interesting mechanic. Level 25 elites split into level 20 elites. Their stats dropped considerably, yet still far outclassed regular monsters of the same level. He wasted no time and swung his staff once more. Chain lightning struck every split offspring. 145497716, 145405782, 145413838. The split offspring died instantly again, but the same scene repeated itself. Every corpse blew apart, each one dividing into 2 even smaller chimeric beasts. That said, Su Chun's eyes lit up. Permanent poison stack limit, +1. Current stack limit, 18029. Permanent poison stack limit, +1. Current stack limit, 18030. They grant stack increases. Kill them, and they keep splitting. 1 beast becomes 2. Killing those yields stacks and spawns 4 more. This is perfect for farming poison stacks. Su Chun unleashed full power, unleashing lightning spells without restraint. 4 became 8. 8 became 16. Each split reduced the creature's size and health, yet multiplied their numbers. Only after being reduced to fist-sized abominations and dissolved a fourth time by Su Chen's poison did they finally stop regenerating, melting completely into black sludge. Permanent poison stack limit +1. Current stack limit 18073. Merely 3 initial chimeric beasts earned him 74 permanent stack limit increases. Grinding stacks at exponential rates, Su Chen muttered to himself, obvious excitement in his tone. If I could lure a horde of these things together, my poison stack cap would skyrocket. While Su Chen poured on damage, the squad of freshmen huddled behind them. Everyone hold tight, the shield warrior among the rescued students called out. We can't stay here. The main danger is still by the teleport gate. Su Chen nodded toward the direction of the portal, where dark purple light flickered far above the treeling. Let's go. Su Chen hefted his staff and started walking. Xiao Su, where are we headed? Lin Shiqing hurried to keep pace. To go see what's gotten into that upper-class woman. Su Chen answered casually. A dark thought crossed his mind. Why did every dungeon run keep running into such abnormal trouble? Far away, near the dungeon teleportation gate, the air reeked of thick blood and rot. The towering thornbone wall still sealed off the blue glow of the exit portal. Several second-year enforcement squad members stood their ground, fighting desperately. Hold the line. Healers, keep shields up on the frontline fighters. The squad leader gritted his teeth and brought his greatsword crashing down onto an abyssal chimeric beast. Boom. Sparks flew. 392. The pitiful damage reading made the captain's face turn grim. He was a level 26 berserker wielding silver-grade equipment, yet his blows barely pierced the monster's defenses. Captain, it multiplies. We started with 3, and now there are 6. These beasts keep splitting when damaged. We cannot kill them fast enough. Behind the defensive line, dozens of surviving freshmen huddled together. They were trapped against the bone wall, nowhere left to retreat. Senior Xiaoya, a freshman clad in an ornate mage's robe, scrambled frantically to the very front of the defensive perimeter, holding high a card shimmering with golden light. This is my student ID card. It holds 1,000 merit points. Take all of them. Please, let me get out of here. Sobbing, he hurled the merit point card toward Xiaoya, who stood atop the bone wall. My family is wealthy. If you spare me, I will give you any amount of money you ask for. Perched at the bone wall summit, Xiaoya tilted her head. Her gray-white pupils held no trace of human emotion. She glanced down at the merit point card lying on the ground, and a deeply twisted smile tugged at her lips. Merit points. Xiaoya's voice grated like 2 sheets of sandpaper rubbing against each other, layered with overlapping echoes. Only foolish mortals would treasure such meaningless numbers. She slowly lifted the staff in her grip. The master wants no merit points. What the master craves is your living flesh and blood and your wails of despair. Swish, a dark purple energy beam shot forth from the tip of her staff, piercing straight through the pleading freshman's chest. Minus 4,896. The freshman stared down in disbelief at the smoldering, gaping hole in his chest, then crumpled rigidly to the ground. Aya! Witnessing the scene, the freshman behind completely broke down. Desperate screams reverberated across the entire area. She's gone mad. She never cared about merit points at all. She intends to slaughter every last one of us. The captain of the hunter squad's eyes blazed with rage. Gripping his greatsword tightly, he roared toward Xiaoya. Xiaoya, you have been corrupted by the abyss power. Stop right now, and the academy might still find a way to save you. Save me. Xiaoya broke into shrill, piercing laughter as if she had heard the most ridiculous joke imaginable. Her shoulders shaking violently. I have never felt more lucid. This power, these incomparable stats, you ants could never comprehend. She swept her staff downward in a fierce arc. Tear them apart. Roar. 6 abyss chimeric beasts bellowed in unison. Their massive bodies lunged, crashing into the already crumbling defensive line of the hunter squad like 6 heavy-duty tanks. Boom. The shield warrior at the very front was sent flying, blood gushing from his mouth. Fine spiderweb cracks spread across his hardened steel tower shield. The defensive line was on the verge of total collapse. A gigantic shadow loomed over the despairing freshman trapped behind. One chimeric beast unhinged its fang-filled maw and lunged down toward the crowd. At this critical, life-threatening moment, a calm voice rang out from the edge of the battlefield. Corrosive snake guards. Just as the abyss chimeric beast's fanged jaws were about to crush the freshman's skull beneath it, the ground caved in without warning. Boom, boom, boom. Amid deafening bursts of rock and soil, dozens of enormous, thick snake guards burst upward, sending the airborne abyss chimeric beasts flying. Right after that, swish, swish, swish. Dark green venom engulfed the chimeric beasts in an instant. Dash 145776818. Dash 145784884. Countless horrifying red damage numbers, staggering to behold, floated above the beasts' heads all at once. The chimeric beasts could not even let out a proper scream. Within a fraction of a second after touching the venom, their health bars dropped to zero. Their colossal bodies dissolved into pools of bubbling green slop, pouring down from the sky. This abrupt twist plunged the previously chaotic, despair-stricken battlefield into deathly silence. The freshmen who had cowered with their heads tucked between their hands stared blankly at the stinking, raining sludge falling from above. That's, someone shouted first, their voice trembling with hard-won relief and utter incredulity. It's Sue God. Sue God is here. We're saved. We're saved. Wah. Roaring cheers erupted from the despairing crowd. Some collapsed straight onto the ground, weeping uncontrollably. At the far end of their field of vision, Su Chun strolled unhurriedly out from the tree-line, staff slung over one shoulder. Lin Shiqing followed half a step behind him, her gaze warily sweeping across the surrounding wreckage. The second-year hunter squad standing at the front was completely stunned. The captain wiped blood from his face forcefully. He glanced at the bubbling green muck on the ground, then back toward the casually approaching youth in the distance. His mind went entirely blank. One-shot kill? A level 2-5 Abyss elite monster, wiped out in a single blow? This was the same monster that even he, a level 2-6 berserker wielding a greatsword of silver grade, could barely scratch. Captain, who on earth is that man? A team member who had lost one arm asked, his face deathly pale. Could there be someone this terrifying among the freshmen? I have no idea. The captain swallowed hard. His sword-holding hand shook. It was not merely the hunter squad. Xiaoya, standing atop the dark purple bone wall, had also frozen. Her gray-white eyes, stripped of all human feeling, locked rigidly onto Su Chun. From that seemingly ordinary freshman, she sensed a destructive aura purer and far more lethal than the abyss power she took such pride in wielding. Who are you? Xiaoya rasped hoarsely. Yet Su Chun did not even glance her way. His eyes fixed on the chimeric beast still continuously splitting apart. Permanent increase to maximum poison stack limit. Current maximum, 18,074 stacks. Permanent increase to maximum poison stack limit. Current maximum, 18,075 stacks. Listening to the crisp successive system notifications ringing in his ears, every pore on Su Chun's body relaxed. This felt good. Extremely good. Just like the earlier chimeric beasts, each specimen could split 4 times. One beast would eventually multiply into 16. On top of that, as elite rank monsters, they granted generous experience points. Where else could you find such perfect mobs? By now, the twisted, arrogant smirk on Xiaoya's face had faded away, replaced by boiling rage and humiliation from being ignored. I asked you, who are you? Xiaoya let out a shrill scream. She brandished her staff wreathed in abyss energy. The remaining dozens of abyss chimeric beasts abandoned their assault on the freshmen. They all twisted around, countless scarlet eyes locking firmly onto Su Chun. Only then did Su Chun slowly lift his head. His gaze drifted indifferently across the dark purple bone wall, finally settling on Xiaoya's gray-white eyes. So you are the senior who blocked the exit and unleashed all this abyss filth. Su Chun tapped his staff against his shoulder. I normally don't care how people fight over merit points. Those are just the rules of this terrible competition. But you went way too far. Not only did you seal off escape, you have corrupted this entire dungeon. Since you are already corrupted by the abyss, then the solution is simple. He pointed his staff toward her. I just need to kill you. Just you. Xiaoya laughed in bitter fury. Abyss energy around her roiled like boiling water, causing the bone wall to creak and splinter. A freshman who has not even completed his second-class advancement? Do you think slaying a few split copies qualifies you to defy power bestowed by the master? She raised her staff and shrieked at the top of her lungs. Go. Tear him to shreds. Grind every bone to dust. Roar. Dozens of massive abyss chimeric beasts roared in unison, shaking the surroundings. They slammed their weight against the ground, creating multiple deep craters. Mounds of flesh charged forward like derailed heavy trains, rolling towards Su Chun with suffocating pressure. The ground across the whole zone shook violently. Su God, look out! The freshmen in the rear shut their eyes in terror. The captain of the second-year hunter squad ground his teeth and lifted his great sword, preparing to rush over and offer support. No matter how high this freshman's damage or how strange his skills, A squishy mage could not possibly withstand the simultaneous savage charge of dozens of elite-grade monsters. But against the towering beasts barreling toward him, Su Chun did not take a single step backward. He stood calmly, watching the gaping maws of the charging monsters, a faint smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. Trying to overwhelm me with numbers. Huh? Why do villains always rely on swarming their opponents? Su Chun tapped the ground lightly with the tip of his staff. Snake guards, get to work. Swish. Dense clusters of snake guards burst out of the earth. This time, it was not merely 10 or several dozen. It was thousands upon thousands. Thousands of corrosive giant serpents rose like a spontaneously grown dark green primeval forest, instantly filling hundreds of meters of terrain. As Su Chen's mental stats had risen, each snake guard stood 10 meters tall. Their dark green vertical pupils stared coldly at the oncoming chimeric beasts. The air across the battlefield turned thick and oppressive in an instant. The dozens of charging chimeric beasts appeared no bigger than ants rushing headlong toward a tsunami before this vast expanse of serpents. Silence. Complete, dead silence. Every spectator gaped, jaws hanging open wide enough to fit a fist. Several long seconds passed before anyone could process what they were witnessing. What kind of monstrous ability is this? A summoning skill? What summoner can conjure thousands of units all at once? Is that number even supposed to be possible? My older brother studies at the Summoners Academy. His mentor is a 5th-rank Grand Summoner with top-tier gear. Even burning all his energy for his ultimate skill, he can summon at most 100 stone gargoyles. How old is this kid? How can he summon so many? Standing high on the bone wall, Xiao Ya's gray-white pupils constricted violently. Her body trembled uncontrollably. As far as her eyes could see, the hunter squad members and freshmen had vanished from sight. All she could behold was a nauseating sea of dark green. How can there be this many? Xiao Ya's voice cracked, sharp with utter shock. Snake guards. Thousands upon thousands of corrosive snake guards. They coiled densely across the ruins, each exuding a revolting toxic aura, completely submerging the portal zone. The chimeric beasts she regarded as elite troops were swallowed whole by hundreds of snake guards before they could even scream. Venom sprayed down like rain. Up in the air, gigantic damage values piled one over another. The abyss chimeric beast's health bars vanished in an instant, without so much as flickering. Summoner. He is only a freshman. How can his summon units have no hard cap? Xiaoya clutched her staff so hard her nails dug into her palms. She could not comprehend this. Even 6th or 7th transformation Grand Summoners had strict hard limits on how many summons they could control simultaneously. Mental power simply could not sustain thousands upon thousands of active entities at once. Yet the youth below had not even labored for breath. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating, Xiaoya muttered hoarsely. Shock in her eyes gave way to murderous madness. If you can summon that many, let us see whether your mana pool holds out against the abyss's endless reinforcements. She lifted her staff and slammed it hard against the bone wall. Tear him apart. Offer your flesh and blood to the master. Rumble. A massive, dark purple rift tore open behind the bone wall. An abyss portal had been fully unleashed. Thick, deathly abyss energy billowed outward. Amid grating, bone-scraping growls and roars, a black flood poured forth from the portal. This was not a mere dozen monsters. A seemingly inexhaustible tide of abyss chimeric beasts surged out nonstop. They trampled over the corpses of their fallen kin, rushing toward the sea of green snake guards like an endless tide. Damn, this woman has lost her mind. Opening a portal directly. That's practically cheating. The abyss monsters are infinite. We're surrounded. It's over. The hunter squad and freshmen hiding in the distance despaired upon seeing this. Lin Shiqing stood behind Su Chun. She watched the suffocating black tide advancing and grew concerned as well. Faced with this monster horde large enough to overwhelm an entire small town, Su Chun barely even blinked. He watched the chimeric beasts pouring endlessly out of the portal, as if observing a fully operational experience printing machine. Opening a portal to flood the field with mobs. A slight smile crossed Su Chun's lips, faint fanaticism glinting in his gaze. Senior, you truly are a great help to me. He waved his staff casually. Snake guards, keep working. Swish, swish, swish. The ground exploded again. Hundreds more dark green, corrosive giant serpents broke through the soil. 2,000, 3,000, 10,000. The number of snake guards kept rising in completely illogical leaps. Dense masses of serpents entangled the charging chimeric beasts. Venom sprayed forth. Hundreds upon hundreds of chimeric beasts dissolved into clouds of sludge in an instant. Feature trigger, Doom Drain. Maximum poison stack limit, +1. Feature trigger, Doom Drain. Maximum poison stack limit, +1. Clear system alerts flooded Su Chen's ears nonstop. When chimeric beasts dissolved into sludge, they immediately split into smaller copies that doubled in quantity. I don't mind them splitting. I only wish there were even more. Su Chen's eyes lit up. Newly spawned splits exploded once more, multiplying further. Kill them again. The portal area had turned into a giant toxic meat-grinding machine. His experience bar surged upward visibly to the naked eye. His poison stack limit cap skyrocketed exponentially. The students watching from the rear stared on in complete bewilderment. This cannot be human. The Berserker captain gaped, nearly dropping his greatsword. Slaughtering monsters like slicing vegetables. Those damage numbers must be bugged. Look at those giant serpents. They keep multiplying. It was 3,000 just now. Must be 5,000 by now. This is blatant cheating. Report him. We cannot keep playing this simulation. High atop the bone wall, Xiaoya's maniacal smile had frozen completely, contorting with disbelief. She had believed that by opening the portal to spawn infinite monsters and leveraging the chimeric beast's splitting mechanic, no matter how high the freshman's damage output, his mana would eventually run dry. But events unfolded completely beyond all logic. The freshman showed zero signs of fatigue. He had not consumed a single mana potion. His summoned snake guards were not only annihilating every monster pouring out of the portal, they had begun pushing back, sealing the portal entrance itself. He is treating my portal like a monster spawning cage. Xiaoya's gray-white pupils trembled violently. A crushing wave of humiliation washed over her. Chosen by the divine power, granted supreme strength. She was supposed to spread terror and harvest lives here. And yet now? The way this freshman looked at her was not as one confronting an apocalyptic abyss apostle. It was as if he was looking at a creature that endlessly spawned mobs for him to farm. How dare you treat me as an experience grinding tool? Xiaoya snapped completely, her shrill scream cutting through the bone wall, voice breaking with unbridled rage. Do you think you have already won? The power of the master is far beyond the comprehension of insignificant ants like you. Boom, boom, boom. The sky above the secret realm darkened abruptly. Space above the abyss portal twisted violently. A colossal black vortex slowly took shape. Almighty abyss, I sacrifice all this flesh and blood. Descend. Destroy this insolent heretic. Xiaoya sliced open her wrist with her staff. Black blood gushed upward in a jet, surging toward the swirling vortex overhead. The remains of all the chimeric beasts fighting on the field responded to the call. They stopped writhing, transformed into streams of black light, and rushed into the vortex. Even the abyss portal itself was drawn inward and swallowed by the vortex. A suffocating, tangible pressure weighed down on every soul present, like a mountain pressing upon their hearts. Crack! The silver-grade greatsword in the Berserker captain's hand developed a fine fracture under that oppressive aura. What rank of monster is that? It's dark gold rank. A dark gold ranked boss. A support class student holding a detection device shrieked in despair. Thud! One gigantic black foot stepped out of the vortex and crashed onto the ground. The earth split open. A powerful shockwave sent the hunter squad and freshmen flying. A 10-meter-tall, terrifying behemoth slowly descended out of the vortex. Thick, dark gold scales covered its body. Sharp bone spurs jutted from its back. For massive, muscular arms swirled with dense abyss energy. Abyss Tyrant fusion formed dark gold rank boss rank. Dark gold level. 30 strength. 8,500 agility. 4,200 stamina. 9,000 mind. 3,600 skills. Tyrant Stomp. Abyss Roar. Endless Fission. Tyrant Stomp. Inflicts devastating physical damage on all targets within a 50-meter radius and applies the stun debuff. Abyss Roar. Forces all enemy units to lose 50% of their defense for 30 seconds. Endless Fission. Upon death, splits into 2 gold rank Abyss Tyrants. Gold rank variants split into 4 silver rank Abyss Tyrants upon death. Silver rank variants split into 8 bronze rank Abyss Tyrants upon death. Bronze rank variants split into 16 iron rank Abyss Tyrants upon death. Heavy, tangible abyss energy weighed on every person's heart. Wind swept ash and debris across the ruins, stinging the pale faces of the freshmen. No one spoke. Even breathing became cautious and shallow. When the 10-meter-tall Abyss Tyrant fusion form fully stepped out of the black vortex, trembling freshmen cast their detection spells. The data returned instantly shattered every last shred of hope. One freshman slumped to the ground, his voice shaking uncontrollably. Look at its base stats. 8,500 strength, 9,000 stamina. Agility and mind are both over 3,000. We have zero chance of winning. An archer shouted hopelessly, letting their arrow slip from their grasp. 8,500 strength. Even my family's 60-level Berserker expert in full silver grade gear barely has 3,000 strength. This boss is only level 30. Its base stats outstrip ordinary level 50 monsters by multiples. We don't even need to fight. One casual stomp, and anyone caught in the blast radius will die instantly. And look at its passive skill. Endless Fission. When the Dark Gold version dies, it splits into 2 gold rank copies. Gold rank splits into 4 silver rank. Silver rank becomes 8 bronze rank. Bronze rank spawns 16 iron rank. It's all over. Even top third-year academy students might not stand a chance against this monster. Despair rippled through the crowd. Freshmen collapsed onto the ground. Some closed their eyes, too worn out even to weep. Amid this suffocating wave of hopelessness, Suchin slowly lifted his gaze. He stared up at the towering dark gold-ranked boss, then read over the Endless Fission passive displayed on its stat panel. 8,500 strength, 9,000 stamina, and it endlessly splits upon death. Suchin murmured softly. His eyes lit up brighter and brighter, and a smile crept onto his lips. This was no apocalyptic abyss descent to bring despair. If all those splits triggered, how many monsters would that generate? What an enormous amount of experience points that would amount to. The 9,000 stamina stat sounded intimidating, yet it was nothing special. It could not even compare to the Mine Tyrant, which had been empowered by Abyss River water from the rift in the previous Abyss dungeon. The most overpowered feature was its splitting mechanic, practically an experience grinding gift. This single fight was equivalent to slaying more than 20 bosses. Suchin tightened his grip on his explosion staff, unable to hold back the grin spreading across his face. You really are quite a helpful senior. Suchin muttered softly. The words had barely left his mouth before he did not even need to swing his staff. Thousands of corrosive snake guards, who had been spitting venom across the ground mopping up stray monsters, simultaneously twisted their serpent heads around. Their emerald vertical pupils locked firmly onto the imposing dark gold boss hovering in midair. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Countless streams of emerald venom surged forth like a reverse downpour, crashing down in overwhelming waves onto the massive frame of the Abyss Tyrant. 9,000 stamina was an insurmountable barrier for first and second-year students. To Suchin, however, it was no different from an ordinary mob. -155560876. Boom. A ridiculously long damage value popped up above the tyrant's head. There was no deafening explosion, only a deep, muffled thud. The Abyss Tyrant's health bar vanished in an instant. The Dark Gold boss, whose aura had cowed everyone moments earlier, stiffened abruptly. Right after that, its colossal body burst apart into a pool of foul-smelling green pus. Notice, defeated Fusion Abyss Tyrant Dark Gold boss. Gained 30 million experience points. Notice, Fusion Abyss Tyrant triggers passive trait Endless Division. The splattering pus writhed midair. Without pause, it split into 2 slightly smaller Abyss Tyrants. The 2 gold rank bosses had barely finished forming, not even landing yet. Keep going, Suchin said without so much as glancing their way. -155568942. -155577008. The newly formed flesh and blood exploded once more. Notice, defeated Fusion Abyss Tyrant Gold boss. Gained 6 million experience points. Upon the death of the 2 gold rank entities, they split into 4 silver rank counterparts. The silver rank forms spawned and were instantly slain. They split into 8 bronze rank foes, instantly slain. They split into 16 iron rank foes, instantly slain. Bang, 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 bang. A thick, emerald rain of gore poured down across the portal grounds. From the moment the menacing dark gold boss appeared until every last split copy was wiped out, less than 5 seconds had passed. Only 31 stacks had been accumulated in total, yet the boss granted an enormous amount of experience. With every kill, Suchin and Lin Shurching's experience bars rocketed forward. Bathed in golden level-up light, both of them gained a level. Silence fell over the entire scene. New students who had been lying on the ground waiting for death stared with jaws hanging open, their eyes nearly popping out of their sockets. The Berserker captain of the Hunter squad rubbed his eyes hard and looked back toward the sky. Nothing remained. No oppressive dark gold boss. No hopeless horde of split minions. Only pools of stinking blood and slowly dissipating toxic mist. Where's the boss? One shot, it got one shot. That was a dark gold boss. 8,500 strength and 9,000 stamina. Gone in mere seconds. It can split too. That means in 5 seconds, he killed one dark gold boss, 2 gold bosses. For bronze bosses, 16 iron bosses. Behind the bone wall, Xiaoya collapsed onto the ground. The dark gold boss she had summoned at the cost of countless chimeras was gone. It had not even managed to let out a full roar before vanishing without a trace. Impossible, this cannot be. Xiaoya's gray pupils contracted violently, her whole body trembling. That was the abyss tyrant bestowed by our lord. How could it be one shot? Tap tap tap. Footsteps drew near at an unhurried pace. Abyssal mist was dispelled by an unseen force. Suchen walked up to the bone wall and looked down at the crumpled Xiaoya. He asked flatly, "Got any more? How dare you treat me like some experienced grinding tool?" Xiaoya completely lost her composure. Her shrill scream cut through behind the bone wall, cracking with rage. Her gray pupils shook wildly as she stared at the dense ranks of corrosive snake guards below. A surreal, bone-chilling fear seized her heart. He had summoned so many creatures, yet Su Chun remained perfectly calm. Not only was he not low on mana, he was not even winded. She finally understood. When Su Chun had called her a helpful senior earlier, it had not been sarcasm. He had meant every word. He truly regarded the abyss portal behind her as an infinite monster-spawning cage. "You maniac, mark my words." Xiaoya crushed a black teleport crystal. Violent spatial fluctuations erupted around her body. "You get lucky today. When I report this to the cult, when the next abyss descent arrives, your very soul will be punished." She spat her venomous threat and began retreating toward the abyss portal. Run when outmatched. That was the first survival lesson she had learned within the Doomsday Cult. Su Chun watched Xiaoya trying to flee, barely lifting an eyelid. Put on a show and then run away? That is not how things work. He let out a cold snort, raised his staff, and struck toward Xiaoya atop the bone wall. Crack! A thick bolt of lightning struck her directly. Minus 6,218. A damage number floated upward. Xiaoya's previously substantial health bar dropped sharply. It hit her. Whoa, even Su Chen's basic attack deals this much damage. What a shame. It was only a normal strike. Not enough to finish her off. She is getting away. If we let her escape, she will become a huge threat later. The new students grew anxious. If Xiaoya survived, no one knew what trouble she would cause in the future. Lin Shiqing frowned and tightened her grip on her staff, but she was too far away for her skills to reach. Yet, just as everyone believed Xiaoya would successfully escape, her face turned deathly pale where she stood on the bone wall. Notice, you are inflicted with deadly poison. Current stacks, 1. Notice, due to an unknown effect, your deadly poison stacks have been forcibly maxed. 19,289 stacks. Warning, deadly poison deals 8066*19289 true damage to you every second for 20 seconds, ignoring all armor and magic resistance. In the blink of an eye, Xiaoya saw the black-red skull icon on her status panel. What the hell? She swore without caring about dignity. What in the world was this? Over 100 million damage per second. This guy's class was completely overpowered. Without hesitation, she pulled 2 potions from her backpack and chugged them down. Buzz. A sacred golden shield enveloped her. Notice, you consumed Epic Absolute Protection Potion. Gained 3-second invincibility. Immune to all damage and crowd control effects. Notice, you consumed Epic Advanced Cleansing Potion. All negative status effects have been removed. Invincibility potions. The Berserker Captain's eyes bulged. Epic rank life-saving items. Just how many treasures does this woman carry? We are out of luck. Another second-year student sighed in despair. 3 seconds of invincibility is more than enough for her to slip into the abyss portal. If she gets away, none of us will ever feel safe again. Inside the golden shield, Xiaoya gasped heavily, cold sweat soaking her robes. One of her feet was already inside the abyss portal. Glancing down at the unruffled Su Chen below, madness returned to her features. Ha ha! You cannot kill me. Xiaoya cackled wildly. Su Chen, I remember you. Our great lord shall keep watch over you. Her laughter died instantly. She noticed a horrifying fact. Even after drinking the epic cleansing potion, the skull icon for deadly poison on her status panel had not vanished. It clung to her stat sheet like an ineradicable curse. Motionless. How is this possible? Why will it not dispel? This is epic-grade purification magic. Panic overtook Xiaoya. She frantically downed more potions. Nothing worked. The poison skull icon on her status bar stayed fixed in place. Meanwhile, the golden glow of her invincibility shield flickered and faded. 3, 2, 1 crack. The crisp sound of the shattering shield echoed across the silent portal edge. Xiaoya stared numbly downward. -155585074. A terrifying damage value with countless digits burst above her head. More than 150 million true damage. You will pay for tea. Xiaoya's curse never finished forming on her lips. Squelch. A pool of sharp-smelling green pus trickled down the bone wall and dripped onto the ashes of the ruins. Deprived of its caster, the abyss portal flickered violently before slamming shut. Dead silence fell over the entire secret realm. The wind died down. Only the remaining corrosive snake guards still twisted restlessly. Gulp. The berserker captain swallowed hard, his legs giving way as he dropped to his knees. The surrounding new students looked utterly terrified. Some chattered their teeth, and a few even retched. She's dead. Killed the second the invincibility wore off? Not even scraps left behind. What on earth did he apply with that basic attack? Horrible. This is such an unfair instant kill mechanic. Everyone stared at Su Chen with unease creeping into their gazes. If you did not understand Su Chen's mechanics and fought him, catching just one ordinary strike from him meant instant death before you could even react. Su Chen paid no mind to the horrified stares all around. He walked unhurriedly beneath the bone wall and prodded the puddle of pus with his staff. Soon, 2 items turned up. A black iron tablet carved with a strange eyeball symbol, and a bloodstained student ID card. Su Chen picked both items up. Doomsday Cult Black Iron Token, special item. Seems to contain certain spatial coordinates. Doomsday Cult? Never heard of it. I will ask others about this. Su Chen tossed the token into his backpack. Besides demons and abyssal forces, countless cults existed in this world. This Doomsday Cult clearly held connections with the abyss. Next, his eyes fell on the student ID card. Numbers stood out clearly. Current credits, 124,500 points. Whoa! Su Chen looked faintly surprised. Quite a fortune. 124,000 credits would let an average student live lavishly for quite some time. He slipped the card into his bag, glanced toward the dungeon portal, and spoke to Lin Shiqing. The farce is over. Let's head out. White light flashed. Hundreds of figures tumbled out one after another onto the rear mountain grounds of Sky Vault Academy. Students, just emerging from the dungeon, looked haggard, covered in ash and filth. Some collapsed to their knees the moment they landed. Academy executives and instructors waiting on the plaza perimeter hurried forward. Lin Xiaotian frowned as he looked over the group who appeared as though they had barely escaped a disaster zone. What happened? Lin Xiaotian asked in a deep voice. Why are you in such a state? What are the casualty numbers? The berserker captain from the second-year hunter squad steadied his shaking legs and stepped before Lin Xiaotian. Reporting Principal Lin, something terrible occurred inside the dungeon. His voice was hoarse. Xiaoya. She turned out to be a follower of the Doomsday Cult. She summoned numerous chimeras within the dungeon and forced open an abyss portal, calling forth the dark gold Abyss Tyrant. Shock swept across the faces of nearby instructors. The Doomsday Cult. Zhao Hongtao, head of the summoning department, raised his voice sharply. That cannot be. Xiaoya's records are spotless. She was an exemplary student, and every mental corruption check came back clean. How could she be corrupted by abyssal influence? It is the truth, Director Zhao, the captain insisted. The chimeras she summoned possessed overwhelming stats and kept splitting. If Su Chen had not stepped in, every single one of us new students would have perished today. Lin Xiaoyan's gaze locked onto Su Chen standing toward the back of the crowd, then shifted to Lin Shiqing beside him. Where is Xiaoya? Lin Xiaotian asked. Dead. The captain swallowed hard. Killed in an instant by Su Chen. Nothing remained of her except that puddle of pus. The air froze for a moment. Lin Xiaotian did not press for details on how Su Chen had killed the cultist who had opened an abyss portal. After all, Su Chen had already pulled off many outrageous feats. Medical staff, over here. Lin Xiaotian turned toward the shaken students. Take them for full mental corruption cleansing and physical examinations. He paused, softening his tone slightly. The Academy bears responsibility for this security lapse. As compensation, this year's cohort will enjoy relaxed conditions during mentor selection. Dismissed. At the mention of relaxed conditions, color returned to the pale new student's eyes. Within Sky Vault Academy, securing a good mentor often shaped one's entire destiny. This compensation was genuinely valuable. Medical personnel led the new students away. Members of the Hunter Squad departed to write full reports. Su Chen, stay, Lin Xiaotian called out. Once the area cleared, Lin Xiaoyan's calm expression vanished, replaced by a stern scowl. Zhao Hongtao, present. Sweat beaded on the summoning department director's forehead. Xiaoya was one of our key talents. For her to lurk right under the Academy's nose, her mentor bears responsibility. Lin Xiaoyan's voice turned icy. Notify the law enforcement unit. Place Xiaoya's mentor under temporary arrest immediately. seal her laboratory, and all communication logs. Whether she was a star pupil or not, we will investigate thoroughly. Occultist infiltrating Sky Vault Academy and causing student deaths cannot go unaddressed. Yes. Zhao Hongtao wiped sweat from his brow and hurried off. Lin Xiaodian turned back towards Su Chun. You performed admirably. I am glad Shiqing was unharmed. I will read the full report from the Hunter Squad. The Academy rewards merit fairly, and your credit reward will be deposited directly into your account. Luck, mostly, Su Chun replied calmly. Lin Xiaodian said nothing further and waved for him to leave. Half an hour later, Sky Vault Academy, 3rd Canteen. At a window-side table, Su Chun dug heartily into his rice bowl topped with fried frenzied wild boar meat. Can you eat slower? No one is competing with you. Lin Shiqing sat across from him, holding a cup of mind-clearing fruit juice. She rolled her eyes watching him gobble food down. Fighting monsters takes physical energy. Su Chun swallowed a mouthful of meat and wiped his mouth with a napkin. It is exhausting work. Lin Shiqing's eye twitched. Exhausting? Images flooded her mind. The swarms of emerald snake guards inside the secret realm, damage numbers reaching hundreds of millions. All right, let us get down to business. Lin Shiqing set down her drink and grew serious. The mentor selection period is approaching. Do you have any plans? I will decide when the time comes, Su Chun answered casually. Truth be told, he knew almost nothing about the Academy's mentors. With his achievements, he figured he could pick whichever he wanted and choose one of the more powerful ones. Hey, take this seriously. This is not just class assignment back in high school. Lin Shiqing glared at him. Mentors control resources, secret realm access passes, high-level skill books. Everything comes with limited quotas. She leaned forward and lowered her voice. Moreover, many top-tier mentors have eccentric personalities. They will not accept you simply based on your awakened class. Most set extremely demanding trials. Trials? Su Chun raised an eyebrow. Exactly. Lin Shiqing huffed. High damage output alone will not carry you through. Some trials are deliberately designed to target your weaknesses. Rest well and get yourself in peak condition. Thanks for the heads up, young lady. I will keep that in mind. Su Chun smiled, seeing how earnestly she warned him. He wondered what her reaction would be if he told her about the contract from Old He that allowed him to pick any mentor he wished. Ahem. Lin Shiqing coughed and pulled several name cards out, as if performing a trick. I happen to know quite a few mentors from the Mage College. Su Chun glanced at the cards spread across the table. Chu Tianxing, Dean of the Mage College, level 160 Archmage, specializes in spatial-type spells. Lu Changfeng, Senior Mage College Instructor, level 150 Archmage, specializes in wind-type spells. Gu Shanhe, Senior Mage College Instructor, level 150 Archmage, specializes in defensive and survival-focused magic. More than 10 name cards lay on the table. Wow. Had she basically collected name cards for every high-ranking Mage College instructor? Did you go around talking to all of them? Su Chun eyed her suspiciously, recalling the day of class awakening when Lin Shiqing had tried forcing piles of equipment onto him. Never mind that. Just pick one from these, okay? Lin Shiqing's cheeks flushed, and she chided him softly. Su Chun shook his head helplessly. This girl, whatever. He fell deep in thought, staring at the name cards spread before him. Who should he choose? And another thing. Where was the old poison matriarch that Kaishan had recommended? Early the next morning, Su Chun and Lin Shiqing both received a summons from Lin Xiaodian and headed over together. Vice Principal's office. Lin Xiaodian sat behind the spacious redwood desk and pushed a faintly glowing magic scroll across the tabletop. The scroll unrolled slowly, revealing hundreds of densely packed names. Behind each name was a long list of dazzling titles and levels. This is the full mentor roster for Sky Vault Academy. Lin Xiaodian turned toward Lin Shiqing, standing before the desk. His formerly stern features softened at once, and his voice turned gentle. Shiqing, your second uncle has compiled this list for you. Take a look. All senior mentors from the Mage College and Support College are listed here, and several vice principals are also included. Tell me whoever you wish to choose. Lin Shiqing leaned forward over the scroll and read it carefully. Lin Xiaodian shifted his gaze to Su Chun standing off to one side, and all trace of warmth vanished from his face. The imposing demeanor of a vice principal took its place. As for you, Su Chun, Lin Xiaoyan's expression darkened, his tone sharp. You distinguished yourself in yesterday's incident, yet you also showed impulsive and reckless behavior. Sky Vault Academy is not some wild leveling ground where you can act alone. Choosing a mentor works both ways. You had better set aside your arrogance and honestly pick someone who can teach you genuine skills. Su Chun, wait a minute. Was his attitude shift really that abrupt? Second uncle. Lin Shiqing lifted her head abruptly and glared at Lin Xiaotian. Why are you being so harsh toward him? If not for him, we would all have died inside that dungeon. Lin Xiaotian was caught off guard by her retort. He stared at his niece's indignant look, then glanced at Su Chun beside her wearing an innocent expression. The corners of his mouth twitched uncontrollably. As vice principal of Sky Vault Academy and one of Huagua's top-tier powerhouses, he could not bring himself to get angry at the girl. Ahem, I was merely giving him a word of warning. Lin Xiaotian rubbed his nose awkwardly. Fine, fine. I shall say no more. You two look over the list yourselves. Ignoring Lin Xiaotian's abrupt change of mood, Su Chun directed his eyes toward the scroll on the desk. The list was lengthy. At the very top stood experts of the 6th or even 7th Transcendence, all above level 150. Among them were Dean Tianxing of the Mage College and Zhao Hongtao, head of the summoning department. However, Su Chun soon spotted a problem. Beneath the names of well over half the senior mentors on this list, bright red text read, "No new students accepted this year." Why are so many mentors not taking on new students? Su Chun pointed at the red text and asked. Obviously, Lin Xiaotian shot him a sharp glance. These mentors are the backbone of the academy. They are constantly occupied with high-level research or carrying out top-secret national missions. Their student quotas are already full. They have no spare energy for newcomers. I see. Su Chun nodded and kept scanning quickly across the scroll. Second uncle, I have made my choice. At that moment, Lin Shiqing pointed to one name on the scroll. I want mentor Yunlan from the support college. Yunlan? An excellent pick. Lin Xiaotian glanced at the entry and nodded in approval. She is a level 165 Holy High Priestess, gentle-natured and exceptionally patient as an instructor. Half of the high-ranking active priests in the academy were her students. Study hard under her, and you will have a bright future. I have already spoken with her in advance. Coupled with your outstanding performance yesterday, just present my official token to report for duty. Thank you, second uncle. Lin Shiqing happily took the token, then turned towards Su Chun. Little Su, have you decided yet? Almost done, almost done. Su Chun's gaze drifted to the obscure corner at the very bottom of the list, where it finally settled on an unremarkable name. Poison Granny Special Mentor, no new students accepted this year. Found her. The mentor old he had recommended. I choose this one. Su Chun pointed at the name. Lin Xiaotian followed his finger, and his brows knotted into a tight frown. Poison Granny? Lin Xiaotian shook his head repeatedly. No. Pick someone else. Why not? Her name is right here on the list. Su Chun countered. Being listed does not mean she takes apprentices. Lin Xiaotian's tone turned grave. Poison Granny is a special case. She has an extremely eccentric temper, and she has not taken a single student for decades. Choosing her is nothing but a waste of your time. She might not even agree to meet you. Pick another. Your talent is monstrous. Dean Tianxing's quotas are full, yet he would likely make an exception for you. Su Chun said nothing in reply. He calmly pulled a contract bearing a special seal out of his backpack and slapped it down hard on the desk. Will this work? Lin Xiaotian eyed it suspiciously. When he read the contents, his eyes bulged and his normally composed composure completely crumbled. Sky Vault Academy Mentor Direct Assignment Warrant. Where did you get this? Lin Xiaotian's mouth twitched violently. Across the entire Great Hua Empire, fewer than 3 such direct assignment warrants existed outside official hands. Given to me by an elder acquaintance. Su Chun spoke plainly. So, may I go see Poison Granny now? Lin Xiaotian took several deep breaths to suppress his shock. Why did you not show this to me sooner? He glared at Su Chun irritably. Since you hold this warrant, Academy rules do stop me from barring you. But, mark my warning. Even with this credential, Poison Granny may still refuse you. If she turns you away, this warrant will become void. Does not matter. I will take my chances. Su Chun put away the parchment and answered casually. Lin Xiaotian sighed at Su Chun's unyielding attitude. His expression suddenly turned solemn. Setting the mentor selection aside for a moment, I must tell you the full story regarding Xiaoya from yesterday. He stood and walked to the window, gazing out over the academy square. You only know she was a fallen of the Doomsday Cult, but do you truly understand the Doomsday Cult? A bunch of lunatics who worship evil gods. Su Chun recalled Xiaoya's hysterical breakdown from the previous day and gave his assessment. More or less, yet far more dangerous than that. Lin Xiaotian turned back around. Demonkind are humanity's mortal foes, and the Abyss seeks to devour all tangible existence. The followers of the Doomsday Cult, they are outright maniacs. They believe the digitization of Blue Star and the arrival of the Abyss are divine blessings. Instead of leveling up by slaying monsters, they gain boons from evil gods through sacrificial rituals and spreading terror. Su Chen raised an eyebrow and voiced a question that had long puzzled him. Is the god they worship real, or merely a figment of their imagination? Lin Xiaodian fell silent for a short while at this question. Partly real, partly imagined. Lin Xiaodian said slowly. No high-ranked transcender throughout human history has ever laid eyes on the true form of their so-called evil god. Even the system interface has never given a definitive classification for any god. However, Lin Xiaoyan's voice sank low. Through their eerie prayers and sacrificial rites, they undeniably obtain real, tangible power. Take the chimeric beast Xiao Yi summoned yesterday, alongside her ability to force open an abyss portal. Such power should never have been accessible to a third-year student. He stared straight into Su Chen's eyes, his tone utterly serious. Yesterday you foiled their scheme and struck down one of their carefully cultivated fallen. Su Chen, you stand in the spotlight now. Your unique hidden class, unprecedented leveling speed, and your bizarre damage output. Not only high-level academy figures are watching you. The demon forces, the abyss, and those fanatics of the Doomsday cult have most likely added your name to their assassination lists. Within Sky Vault Academy grounds you are safe. Once you step outside these gates, you must exercise extreme caution. Thank you for the warning, Principal Lin. I shall be careful. Su Chen nodded. Very well, I have said all I need to. Lin Xiaodian waved a hand. Shiqing, go report to the support college. Su Chen, Poison Granny's dwelling lies in Bleached Bone Wood, northeast of the Assassin College. Go there and try your luck. After leaving the vice principal's office, Su Chen parted ways with Lin Shiqing and headed straight for the Assassin College. Northeast of the Assassin College lay Bleached Bone Wood. Every tree here was ash-white, their gnarled branches twisting upward like bony claws begging toward the sky. No grass covered the ground, only a thick layer of dark purple humus giving off a sharp, acrid stench. Su Chen stepped across the humus and advanced deep into Bleached Bone Wood. A lopsided wooden hut came into view ahead. Vibrantly, unnaturally hued flowers and plants grew all around the hut. A half-meter-long colorful centipede napped atop a man-eating bloom. Seated in a rocking chair before the hut was a gaunt, shriveled old woman. She wore coarse gray linen clothing, her face crisscrossed with deep wrinkles, her hair thin and sparse. At first glance, she looked no different from any ordinary elderly outcast you might meet on the roadside. Young man, are you lost? When she spotted Su Chen, a hint of warmth flickered within her cloudy eyes. She beckoned him over with a genial smile. Come sit. Hardly anyone comes to these woods these days. This old woman is almost forgetting how to hold a conversation. Su Chen walked to the hut and sat down on a wooden stool, missing one leg. Are you Poison Granny? Just Granny. Adding poison sounds so unkind. Poison Granny's eyes crinkled shut with her grin. Trembling slightly, she picked up a chipped coarse porcelain teapot from the low side table and poured a steaming cup of tea, sliding it towards Su Chen. Drink some tea. The miasma in these woods is heavy. Hot tea will warm you up. The tea had a pale amber hue and carried a faint, strange fragrance. Su Chen looked at the teacup, then back at Poison Granny's disarmingly kind face. Is this really her? Lin Xiaodian had painted such an ominous picture. Su Chen had expected some terrifying, inhuman NPC. Su Chen lifted the teacup and instinctively cast Identify on it. Item: Granny's welcoming tea rank. Effect: highly toxic liquid. Upon consumption, lose 5,000 health per second for 10 seconds. Su Chen's hand holding the cup froze midair. 5,000 damage per second? For 10 whole seconds? This is supposed to be tea. Even heavily polluted water could hardly be this toxic. For ordinary transcenders of this era, even a level 2-5 warrior built purely for health would barely reach 10,000 maximum health. Drinking this tea would kill a shield tank within 3 seconds, melting them on the spot. Su Chen was speechless. Poison Granny looked back at him, her smile still warm and harmless. Why aren't you drinking? Poison Granny urged. It will taste bad once it grows cold. This old woman was ruthless indeed. This single cup of tea was an ordeal, dealing 50,000 total damage. No wonder no one had become her apprentice for decades. Who could possibly survive this? Very well, I shall drink it. Su Chen tilted his head back and drained the amber tea in one gulp. The liquid slid down his throat. System notice. You have consumed an unknown substance. You are poisoned. 5000. 5000. 5000. 10 lines of glaring red damage numbers flashed rapidly across Su Chen's vision. Su Chen's dragon robe blazed with dark gold shield light, and his shield value plummeted at a visible rate. 10 seconds passed, and the damage ceased. Su Chen let out a long breath. That had been quite the thrill. Right afterward, a new system prompt popped up. System notice. Gain temporary buff. Toxin affinity. Effect. All your damage over time effects increased by 20%. Duration, 24 hours. Su Chen's eyes lit up upon reading this message. A 20% boost to damage over time effects just from drinking 1 cup of tea, and it lasts a full 24 hours. While this buff might mean nothing to others, it was an enormous power-up for him. A barely perceptible glint shone in Poison Granny's cloudy eyes as she watched Su Chen finish the tea. Excellent. What a fine young man. Poison Granny stood, still smiling warmly, and patted Su Chen lightly twice on the shoulder. You have quite a sturdy constitution. It has been so long since I have seen such a robust youth. Tap, tap. The instant her hands left his shoulders. System notice. You have come into contact with an unknown agent. You are poison. 500. 500. 500. Su Chen's smile froze on his face. He stared at the new debuff in his status bar, utterly dumbfounded. Wait a minute. Even a pat on the shoulder poisons you. Has this old woman literally turned into living toxin? Oh dear, look at my poor memory. Poison Granny appeared completely oblivious to Su Chen's steadily dropping health. She sighed and settled back into her rocking chair. The ingredients for this tea are nearly used up. My old legs cannot carry me far anymore. She lifted her gaze towards Su Chen. Young man, since you are here, could you do this old woman a favor and gather more ingredients for my tea? Here it comes. Su Chen focused. Lin Shiqing had told him some mentors gave trial quests to prospective students. Of course. What do you need, Granny? Su Chen asked. It is not far. Poison Granny gestured deeper into bleached bone wood. Down below this mountain lies a place called Cave of 10,000 Poisons. Fetch 10 stems of abyss Rodheart grass for me. Be certain to pull them out whole by the roots. The root fibers hold the strongest venom. The Cave of 10,000 Poisons, understood. I will head there right away. Su Chen accepted the quest and stood up. Be careful on your journey, young man. Poison Granny called after him with a cheerful tone. The insects inside the Cave of 10,000 Poisons are far deadlier than my cup of tea. Farewelling Poison Granny, Su Chen followed a rotting, hidden trail deeper into the mountain. After roughly a dozen minutes of walking, the pale gray trees thinned out, revealing a massive fissure opening into the earth. Dark purple moss lined the fissure's rim, and thick, acrid green miasma billowed continuously out of the opening. This was the Cave of 10,000 Poisons. Standing at the edge of the fissure, Su Chen habitually cast Identify across his surroundings. Cave of 10,000 Poisons Dungeon Rank. Nightmare Dungeon Level. 2530 Party Limit. 1-person maximum dungeon time limit. None. A nightmare-ranked single-player dungeon. The area outside the dungeon was deathly quiet. Apart from misshapen poisonous plants, there was not a soul in sight. Su Chen spotted a wooden sign standing amid swirling green miasma. Assassin College official warning. This dungeon is lethally dangerous. Turn back immediately. No wonder no one comes here. Su Chen clicked his tongue. For the Assassin College to post such a notice, many adventurers must have perished within. Without hesitation, he stepped straight into the roiling green miasma. System notice. You have entered the dungeon. Cave of 10,000 Poisons. Warning. You are suffering environmental toxin erosion. 20, 20, 20. The moment he entered the cavern, streams of red damage numbers began flashing across Su Chen's sight. 20 health points drained away every single second. Su Chen glanced at his own modest health pool. Without any form of protection, this steady 20-point magical damage would quickly wear him down and kill him within minutes. Fortunately, the Abyss Dragon Robe granted him over 80,000 shield points. This minor per second drain barely registered to him. Ordinary explorers would have to chug health potions nonstop in here. Su Chen muttered. Holding his staff aloft to cast faint illumination, he observed the cavern interior. The cave stretched far wider than he had expected. Stalactites hung down from above, and the uneven ground pooled with stinking green puddles. Hiss hiss, an unsettling scraping noise echoed out of a shadowy corner ahead. Su Chen looked up. Several basin-sized spiders covered in dark purple boils scuttled rapidly down the stalactites. He cast Identify. Rot Venom Spider Level. 25 Strength. 800 Agility. 1500 Stamina. 2000 Spirit. 500 Skills. Venom Spray. Toxic Blood Backlash. Toxin Immunity. Venom Spray Active. Spit venom from afar, dealing spirit times 1.5 poison attribute magic damage, and applying 1 stack of poison, lose spirit times 0.5 health per second for 5 seconds. Toxic Blood Backlash Passive. Upon receiving any physical or magical damage, Force the attacker to gain 1 stack of poisoned. Toxin immunity passive. Completely immune to all poison attribute magic damage. Suchin read through the stat block and fell momentarily speechless. What utterly vicious monster mechanics. You get poisoned for attacking it, and you get poisoned when it attacks you. It is basically a walking toxic hedgehog. For regular adventurers, these level 2-5 ordinary mobs would be absolutely infuriating to fight. Yet for Su Chun, there was no need for him to engage in close combat at all. Time to work. Su Chun raised his blast staff and poured forth mana. Corrosion Serpent Guards. Sizzle. Hundreds of Serpentine Guardians materialized at once. As soon as they formed, they locked onto the descending rot venom spiders. Uft, uft, uft. Barrages of venom bullets fired from the Serpent Guard's fangs like machine gun fire, striking the rot venom spiders dead on. -186702088. -186725235. -186748382. Thanks to the buff from Poison Granny's tea, Suchin's poison-related damage had increased by 20%. There was no contest. The health bars of these level 25 rot venom spiders vanished the instant the Serpent Guard venom hit them. Before they could even screech, they dissolved into steaming, reeking puddles. Successfully slain level 25 rot venom spider. Experience plus 1,750. Successfully slain level 25 rot venom spider. Experience plus 1,750. Successfully slain level 25 rot venom spider. Experience plus 1,750. Even inside a nightmare-ranked dungeon, these level 25 common mobs granted very little experience. In addition to the kill notifications, several snake guards instantly fell into a poisoned state. Their stamina was inherited from Su Chun, and they died from poison within seconds. Yet Su Chun did not care in the slightest. Snake guards could be summoned in endless numbers. Trading them 1-for-1 was entirely acceptable. Without pausing, Su Chun began sweeping through the myriad poison cave. As he ventured deeper, light within the cavern dimmed, and the green miasma all around grew thicker and more concentrated. Up ahead lay a vast underground karst cave. Within the mire, there were no longer spiders the size of basins. Instead, hundreds of enormous pythons covered in green scales coiled there. Green-scaled poison python elite monster level, 27 strength, 2,500 agility, 2,000 stamina, 5,000 spirit, 1,500 skills, poison immunity, death coil, corrosive poison mist. Staring at the hundreds of giant pythons thrashing in the mire, Su Chin's eyes lit up. This corrosive poison mist was quite an interesting skill. It was a large-scale AoE that also applied slow and continuous damage over time. If he could obtain this skill, his power would skyrocket. Su Chun stroked his chin. Too bad this game did not drop monster skill books. Otherwise, he would definitely farm one. Hiss roar. Sensing the intruder's presence, hundreds of green-scaled poison pythons raised their massive heads at once, their cold vertical pupils locking firmly onto Su Chun. The next second, they opened their gaping jaws, and dense green poison mist rolled towards Su Chun like a tsunami. Faced with the green poison mist crashing forward like a tidal wave, Su Chun did not retreat. Instead, his eyes shone even brighter. What range, what visual effect. If he could get hold of this skill, his monster farming efficiency would multiply many times over. He stood right where he was and let the thick poison mist swallow him completely. Notice, you have been inflicted with slow status. Notice, you have been inflicted with poison status. -3,000, -3,000. Dense damage numbers flickered across his shield. The purple radiance of the abyssal dragon robe flickered violently within the poison mist, and shield value plummeted by thousands each second. The damage is certainly considerable, but it means nothing to me. Glancing at his shield, which still held over 50,000 points, Su Chun slammed his staff hard into the mire. Boom. The ground shook violently, and the roiling green miasma all around was torn apart by raging force. Beneath the stunned vertical pupils of more than a dozen green-scaled poison pythons, over 1,000 10-meter-tall snake guards burst forth from the earth. The huge green-scaled poison pythons instantly looked like tiny loaches beside these skyscraper-like corrosion snake guards. Hiss! The poison pythons had clearly never witnessed such a sight. Their simple minds short-circuited on the spot. Uft! 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 Before the pythons could react, the 1,000 snake guards opened fire simultaneously. Dense venom projectiles poured down like a violent storm, submerging the dozen or so pythons. A snake guard's health was only 20% of Su Chen's constitution. Even a graze from the edge of the poison mist would make them vanish instantly. That did not matter. There were simply too many of them. As snake guards perished in swathes, those hundreds of elite-rank green-scaled poison pythons could not hold out even for a single second. They were instantly melted by overwhelming true damage, leaving not even bone fragments behind. Successfully killed green-scaled poison python elite monster. Experience plus 3,780. Successfully killed green-scaled poison python elite monster. Experience plus 3,780. Successfully killed green-scaled poison python elite monster. Experience plus 3,780. Su-Chun nodded in satisfaction as he looked at the pools of green bubbling slime on the ground. This poison mist skill really is powerful. It can wipe out hordes in one go. I wonder what skills Poison Matriarch will teach me. He still remembered what Song Xian had said. In Sky Vault Academy, instructors could teach skills. Stepping across the mire, Su-Chun pressed deeper into the cave. Conditions within the myriad poison cave grew harsher. After rounding a massive stalactite pillar, the terrain opened up into an underground forest carpeted with strange fungi. Here Su-Chun encountered the third type of monster. They were semi-transparent jellyfish-like creatures floating in midair. They glowed with faint blue light and drifted through the fungal forest trailing long tentacles. He cast Scouting Technique. Azure Poison Matriarch Elite Monster Level. 28 Strength, 10 Agility, 50 Stamina, 300 Spirit, 4,000 Skills, Poison Immunity, Poison Sac Explosion. Reading through its stat panel, Su-Chun drew a sharp breath. He had never seen such a bizarre set of stats. All other attributes were pitifully low, while Spirit was terrifyingly high. It was obviously designed to harass opponents. What kind of mechanic was Poison Sac Explosion? It exploded on death. Getting hit dealt 20,000 damage. Worst of all, it drained all mana. What good was a mage without mana? What an eye-opener. Every monster in this dungeon is more vexing than the last. Su-Chun stroked his chin. Their explosion radius is huge. Looks like the snake guards cannot be packed too closely together. Su-Chun waved his staff once more. Thousands of corrosion snake guards burst from the ground beneath the Azure Poison Matriarchs. This time they were spaced widely apart instead of clustered together. Uft, uft. Venom projectiles struck true. The Azure Poison Matriarchs only had 300 stamina points. Even without poison damage, direct strikes from the snake guards emptied their health bars in an instant. Immediately afterward, their semi-transparent bodies swelled abruptly, bursting with blinding blue radiance. Boom, boom, boom. Violent explosions whipped up gales through the fungal forest, splashing blue venom everywhere. Countless snake guards vanished the moment they were caught in the blasts. Successfully killed level 28 elite monster Azure Poison Matriarch. Experience plus 3,902. Kill notifications kept scrolling across his vision. Each blast cleared out an absolute 30-meter empty zone. Furthermore, Su-Chun noticed damage from every explosion was calculated independently. In other words, if 10 jellyfish exploded beside you at the same time, that would amount to 200,000 total damage. Even Lu Qingyan would die if caught in that. Time to pick them off slowly. Staying well out of range, Su-Chun planned to wear them down with snake guards. After clearing the fungal forest, Su-Chun moved onward. The scenery shifted yet again. Before him stretched a vast underground lake filled with deep purplish-black water, its surface roiling with nauseating poison miasma. In the middle of the lake grew a small patch of faintly glowing plants. Abyss Heartrot grass. Su-Chun's eyes lit up, and he was about to step forward to harvest them. Boom. The entire underground cavern shook violently. The purplish-black lake water churned wildly, and a colossal creature slowly rose from the lake bed. It was a giant toad as large as a hill, its skin covered in oozing poison boils. Its pair of blood-red eyes fixed straight on Su-Chun. Myriad Poison Devourer, Gula Silver Rank, Boss Rank. Silver Rank Level, 30 Strength, 800 Agility, 300 Stamina, 9,000 Spirit, 5,000 Skills, Body of 10,000 Poisons, Abyssal Poison Mire, Poison Nova, All-Devouring Maw. Body of 10,000 Poisons, immune to all debuffs and poison attribute damage. Recovers 1% of maximum health every second while within Poison Mire terrain. Abyssal Poison Mire passively converts all terrain within 100 meters into Poison Mire. Enemies inside suffer 50% reduced movement speed and take true damage equal to 3 times the caster's spirit each second. Poison Nova detonates poison boils across its body, firing poison thorns in all directions that deal high combined physical and poison attribute damage. Victims are afflicted with gravely wounded healing effects reduced by 80%. All-Devouring Maw Triggers when health drops below 30%. Opens its massive maw to unleash a powerful suction force, drawing in all units within a forward conical area into its stomach, dealing massive digestive damage and restoring its own health based on the number of consumed units. Staring at the system panel, Su-chan could not help drawing a sharp breath. Was this stat block really intended for players below level 30? His gaze locked onto Abyssal Poison Mire. It passively converted all ground within 100 meters into Poison Mire, dealing true damage equal to 3 times Gula's spirit every second. Gula possessed 5,000 spirit. That meant anyone stepping within its 100-meter radius would take 15,000 true damage every single second. On top of that came a 50% movement speed slow. Even a fully stamina shield warrior at level 30 would only have a few tens of thousands of health at most. Step into that poison mire, and you would melt away in less than 3 seconds. And to make matters worse, this boss had body of 10,000 poisons, regenerating 1% of its maximum health each second. If this existed in-game, players would rant about this absurdly difficult boss on forums for months. Its mechanics were overpowered, with values seemingly thrown together without care. Forget soloing it. Even a full squad of elite level 30 players would be nothing more than sacrificial offerings walking in here. Su-chan clicked his tongue, even as he lifted his staff. But since I'm already here, I might as well test its strength. Mana surged. Corrosion Snake Guards. Boom, boom, boom. Amid churning muck, over 1,000 10-meter-tall snake guards burst forth within Gula's surrounding poison mire. However, an awkward scene unfolded. The moment those imposing snake guards poked their heads out, their huge bodies dissolved like ice dropped into magma. Sizzle. Notice, Corrosion Snake Guard takes damage from Abyssal Poison Mire, receiving 15,000 true damage. Notice, Corrosion Snake Guard health depleted, destroyed. Notice, Corrosion Snake Guard takes damage from Abyssal Poison Mire, receiving 15,000 true damage. Notice, Corrosion Snake Guard health depleted, destroyed. Dense System notices flooded the screen. Before they could fire a single venom projectile, the 1,000 snake guards dissolved into pools of slime under the terrifying true damage. Croak. Myriad Poison Devourer, Gula let out an earth-shaking croak. A hint of almost human-like mockery flickered within its blood-red eyes. Its massive body shuddered, its poison boils swelling rapidly. It was clearly preparing to unleash gravely wound-inflicting poison nova. Oh ho, someone's got quite the temper. Su-chan was not surprised to see his snake guard army wiped out instantly. He merely shrugged helplessly. Since you won't play by the usual rules, don't blame me for pulling out my ace. This toad's poison only triggered upon physical contact with the swamp. No fool would stand on the ground and trade blows with it. Su-chan focused his mind. His dark gold shimmering abyssal dragon robe rumbled with a low dragon's roar. The next instant, a pair of illusory dragon wings unfurled behind Su-chan, and he shot straight upward. In barely 1 second, he soared more than 10 meters into the air. At that exact moment, Gula's fully swollen poison boils burst open. Boom. Countless venom-coated thorns shot outward in all directions, blasting nearby fungi and stalactites to shreds. Su-chan's eyes narrowed. Whoa. This skill covered an enormous area, nearly blanketing a full 100-meter radius. He reacted instantly and activated phasing. Countless thorns passed harmlessly through his semi-transparent form. Missed me. Looking down from high above at the hill-sized giant toad, Su-chan wore a faint, chilling smile. Now it is my turn. He gave his staff a casual wave. A streak of azure lightning shot forth from its tip and crashed onto Gula's poison boil-covered back. Minus 7,220. A moderately sized damage value popped up. With Su-chan's current spirit stat, his direct damage had grown quite formidable. He did not wait for poison damage to tick. This toad was saturated with poison. While phasing, taking poison would deal double damage to him. Better to end this quickly. He stretched out a hand and clenched it hard toward Gula. Cataclysm of 10,000 poisons. Boom. Time seemed to stand still. Thick green energy detonated all over Gula's body. In an instant, Myriad Poison Devourer, Gula's mountain-like form was crushed as if seized by an invisible giant fist. Croak. It could not even let out a full scream. Its vaunted body of 10,000 poisons shattered, bursting into a spray of green slime. Not a drop of blood remained. Successfully killed Myriad Poison Devourer, Gula's silver rank boss. Experience plus 5 million. That was somewhat underwhelming. Su-chan curled his lip, deactivating flight from his robe and drifting gently back to the ground. With the boss slain, the repulsive abyssal poison mire rapidly faded away. Su Chun hurried over to where Gula had perished. Piles of shimmering loot lay scattered across the ground. Notice, obtained venomous dagger silver rank. Notice, obtained cloak of 10,000 poisons silver rank. Notice, obtained myriad poison sack rare material. Notice, obtained gold coins asterisk 22371. 2 silver rank items had dropped. One was an assassin-type dagger. Its attacks inflicted poison status, reasonably practical. Su Chun tossed it into his backpack. His attention settled on the second item. Actually a cloak item? Cloaks were extremely rare in this world, with an abysmally low drop rate. After clearing so many dungeons and looting countless pieces of gear, this was Su Chun's very first cloak drop. The cloak of 10,000 poisons was pitch black, surging with dark purple energy that occasionally bubbled with venom. Its appearance was quite unsettling. Cloak of 10,000 poisons silver rank. Silver rank equip requirement. Level 25 spirit plus 50 affix 1. Movement speed plus 10% affix 2. Body of 10,000 poisons active. Upon activation, take 50 poison attribute damage every second, but gain immunity to all poison attribute damage. Last 2 hours. Su Chun. Whoa. Su Chun's eyes went wide. Had it actually dropped the Toad's signature ability? Complete immunity against all poison damage. From now on, poison attacks would hold no fear for Su Chun. He could even drink whatever brew Poison Matriarch served without worry. Though it had a duration limit, it was still extremely practical. The trade-off was taking 50 damage every second. But Su Chun had the shield from his dragon robe, with over 80,000 shield points to absorb that damage easily. He equipped the cloak without hesitation. Looks did not matter, raw power was what counted. Afterward, Su Chun's gaze turned toward the deeper reaches of the dungeon. Only in the first half of this place had he encountered such bizarre poison-based abilities. What lay further ahead? Su Chun did not leave immediately. He turned his eyes to the faintly glowing plants in the center of the lake. Wading across the muddy shallows, he carefully dug up the purplish-black veined herbs by their roots. 1, 2, 3, 5. Su Chun counted the abyss heartrot grass inside his backpack and frowned slightly. Only 5. Poison Matriarch asked for 10. He stared down the deep, shadowed tunnel leading deeper into the cavern and sighed. So Gula was merely a gatekeeper. The myriad poison cave stretches far larger than I imagined. Without further delay, Su Chun drank a mana potion, gripped his staff, and advanced deeper. The further he went, the more oppressive the atmosphere grew. Water dripping down the rock walls turned thick and dark green, and the air reeked of sharp rot. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Just then, dense scraping noises echoed out of the darkness ahead. The sounds were not creatures crawling along the ground, but countless tiny things bouncing through the air and colliding against stone walls. By the faint light from his staff tip, Su Chun finally saw what lay ahead. A swarm of insects surged forward like a thick green fog. They bounced rapidly across the tunnel floor, rock walls, and even hanging stalactites. Su Chun cast scouting technique. Rot. Eating poison locust common monster. Level 29, strength 40, agility 350, stamina 150, spirit 80. Skills: Hive Mind, Neural Reflex 1000, Locust Gnaw. Hive Mind. When more than 100 individuals are present, jump distance increases by 100%. Neural Reflex. Possesses exceptional dynamic vision. Can predict impact zones of untargeted area, of effect spells, and dodge via jumping in advance. 1000. Locust Gnaw. Each strike deals minor physical damage and forcibly applies 1 stack of locust poison. Each stack deals poison. Attribute magic damage equal to 20% of the caster's spirit per second for 2 seconds. Stacks infinitely. Good grief. 350 agility? They can predict and dodge AoE spells. Staring at the countless tens of thousands of incoming insects, Su Chun's eye twitched. Each individual monster had pitiful stats, only 150 stamina, dying from a single hit. But their poison stacked infinitely. If he got swarmed by these poison locusts, thousands upon thousands of poison stacks would pile up within seconds, resulting in tens of thousands of damage per second. Sustained combat was impossible. Even Lu Qingyan would not survive more than a few seconds. Truly devious. They dodge large-scale AoEs, and their poison stacks without limit. I cannot imagine how anyone else would fight this. Su Chun activated his newly equipped cloak of 10,000 poisons. Dark, purple energy flowing across the cloak boiled over, wrapping Su Chun inside a thick, viscous membrane of light. Notice, you have activated body of 10,000 poisons active. Notice, you are immune to all poison attribute damage. After activating his cloak, together with the original 20 per second environmental damage numbers reading 70, kept popping up on Su Chen's status bar every second. 70 health points drained each second in exchange for complete toxin immunity. Standing where he was, Su Chen walked straight toward the swarm of insects. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Hundreds of saprophytic poisonous locusts leaped into the air at once, smashing against Su Chen's shield like raindrops of green. Their countless mouthparts gnawed frantically at the energy layer of his Abyss Dragon language robe. 4-2-2. The locusts dealt very little direct damage. Even with Su Chen's low stamina value, they could not break through his defense. Yet the next moment, notice, you have been infected by locust toxin. Current stacks, 345. Notice, you have been infected by locust toxin. Current stacks, 1204, Notice, body of 10,000 poisons triggered. You have blocked 1725 poison, attribute damage. Notice, body of 10,000 poisons triggered. You have blocked 6020 poison, attribute damage, System alerts flooded across his screen. Ignoring thousands upon thousands of toxin stacks powerful enough to instantly kill a max level tank, Su Chen calmly put Thunder's touch back into his backpack. He then pulled out the explosion staff. Since there are so many of you packed so tightly, Su Chen glanced at the red, glowing staff in his hand and curled his lips into a smile. Back during the extra competition for the college entrance examination, he had relied on the explosion staff's passive effect. A single basic attack had set off a chain explosion, wiping out swarms of desert army ants in one blow. Now these poisonous locusts were crowded inside this narrow tunnel, perfect targets for a chain detonation. Take this. Su Chen waved the explosion staff casually, sending a basic auto attack hurtling toward the densest part of the insect swarm. Boom. The fireball exploded the instant it hit the first locust. 7,920. The locust vanished into ashes before it could even make a sound. The next second, a red blast wave spread outward from the dead insect. Su Chen's smile had not fully formed before it froze on his face. Right before the fireball struck its target, the swarm's disgusting neural reflex trait activated. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Every saprophytic poisonous locust within a 2-meter radius of the impact point jumped violently, as if electrocuted. They arced through the air in bright green trajectories, boosted by the swarm hive mind jump bonus. Some clung tightly to stalactites on the cavern ceiling. Others hopped into gaps high up on the stone walls. A few even pushed off their swarm mates mid-air for a second leap. Rumble. The shockwave swept over the area. But because every nearby locust had jumped out of the blast radius, the chain reaction that should have unleashed total destruction ended right after killing the first insect. Only a wisp of lonely black smoke lingered in the air. Once the explosion faded, the locusts clinging to the ceiling and walls hopped back down, resuming their attack on Su Chen's shield. Su Chen, he stared at the still, warm explosion staff in his hand, then at the flea, like insects darting all around him, and remained silent for 3 full seconds. Damn it, Su Chen swore under his breath. This is just plain annoying. You can dodge non-locked on skills and leap straight out of explosion splash range. His original plan, one quick attack to clear the area and leave, had completely fallen apart. Monsters that hopped everywhere and refused to cluster perfectly countered the explosion staff's chain. Explosion mechanic. Fine, you can jump, huh? Su Chen sighed, stowed the explosion staff away, and took out Thunder's touch once more. Then we will fight a slow, steady battle. Mana surged. Corrosion snake guards. Boom, boom, boom. Hundreds of dark, purple snake guards burst out of the ground on both sides of the tunnel. Pop, pop, pop. Venom projectiles poured down like heavy machine gunfire. Each shot struck a leaping locust mid-air, knocking it to the ground where it dissolved into a puddle of green acid. Successfully slain level 29 saprophytic poisonous locust. Experience plus 290. Successfully slain level 29 saprophytic poisonous locust. Experience plus 290. Successfully slain level 29 saprophytic poisonous locust. Experience plus 290. Watching his experience bar climb steadily, Su Chen yawned. A fight that should have taken 5 seconds is dragging on for 5 minutes of mindless grinding. He leaned against the cavern wall and watched his snake guards eliminate the jumping insects one by one. Pretty boring, but stacking toxin buffs feels great. I should come back to this dungeon often. 5 minutes later, the last poisonous locust clinging to a stalactite was hit by a venom projectile and fell to the ground. Su Chen picked up the dropped gold coins, stepped over pools of slime, and kept moving forward. The tunnel widened. Giant vines glowing with eerie purple light appeared on the cavern walls. Floating among the vines was a group of breathtakingly beautiful creatures. Their wings shimmered like purple-stained glass, scattering tiny flecks of fluorescent light through the darkness. Illusion Poison Moth Elite Monster, Level 30, Strength 20, Agility 300, Stamina 800, Spirit 1500 Skills, Spirit, Form Being, Hallucinogenic Pollen, Mana Backlash, Spirit, Form Being, plus 80% Physical Dodge Chance. Hallucinogenic Pollen, passively releases pollen. Targets who inhale it take no direct damage, but suffer powerful hallucinations. Their attacks and spells will fire in random directions, and hit chance drops by 50%. Mana Backlash, hidden neurotoxin triggers when a pollen-exposed target spends mana. The more mana consumed, the higher the magical damage received 1:10 damage ratio. Wow, mental toxin plus mana backlash. Suchin raised an eyebrow after reading the stat panel. He had just been irritated by the jumping locusts, and now an even more troublesome foe blocked his path. Why does this dungeon keep spawning weird monsters? None of them have overwhelming raw stats, yet every single one is infuriating to fight. First self-detonating enemies. Now moths that punish you for spending mana. On paper, the illusion poison moth stats were not high, but if a caster breathed in its pollen and cast a spell costing 1,000 mana, they would immediately take 10,000 magical damage. Combined with randomized skill direction and reduced hit chance, this enemy was a death trap for mage-type classes. The pollen covered an enormous area. There was no way to pull the moths one by one. Combat had to happen inside the polluted zone. The only relatively safe strategy was to avoid casting spells entirely and attack only with basic strikes. Tricky mechanics, sure. Suchin glanced at the still, active body of 10,000 poisons icon on his status bar. But anything labeled poison bows down to me. Ignoring the drifting hallucinogenic pollen, he walked straight into the moth's territory. The pollen hit his shield and was instantly absorbed by his poison, warding cloak without triggering a single system warning. The moth did not have the locust's explosive jump reflex. Instead, they relied on terrain and hallucinations to evade attacks. Corrosion Snake Guards. Suchin summoned a large host of snake guards. System alerts immediately popped up. Notice, you have spent 40,000 mana points. Mana Backlash triggers. You will receive 400,000 poison, attribute magical damage. Notice, body of 10,000 poisons triggered. Damage completely blocked. Mana Backlash? Not a chance. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The snake guards began attacking indiscriminately. The fight was completely one-sided. With Mana Backlash neutralized, the illusion poison moths posed zero threat to Suchin. Successfully slain level 30 elite illusion poison moth. Experience plus 6,000. Successfully slain level 30 elite illusion poison moth. Experience plus 6,000. Notice, obtained illusion moth hide times 5 within minutes. The snake guards had cleared every moth from the area. Satisfied to see his experience bar rise once more, Suchin crossed the vine-covered zone and arrived before a massive bronze gate. The bronze door was carved with intricate serpent totems. Thick, dark, purple mist seeped out through its crack. Clearly, the final zone of the dungeon lay beyond. Suchin pushed the bronze gate open. An ancient, rotten gust of air washed over him. Behind the gate lay an underground altar vastly larger than the earlier underground lake. A broken serpent statue stood at the altar's center. Huddled in the statue's shadow grew a colossal, unsettling plant. It bore no leaves. Every branch was assembled from pale white bones. Thick roots drove deep into the altar's stone slabs. Hanging from the tip of each branch were purple, heart-shaped sacs that throbbed rhythmically. Suchin cast his scry skill. Great Tree of Thousand, Calamity Bone Gold. Rank Boss. Rank. Gold. Level. 35. Strength. 1200. Agility. 100. Stamina. 25,000. Spirit. 8,500 Skills. Bone Armor. Doom Roots. Blood-thirsty Poison Vines. Bone. Tree Blossom. Prison of 10,000 Bones. Bone Armor. All incoming physical damage reduced by 80%. Maximum damage taken from any single hit capped at 30% of maximum health. Immunity to knockback and knock-up effects. Doom Roots. Roots cover the whole altar. Hostile targets inside the altar lose 30% movement speed. Blood-thirsty Poison Vines. Sharp vines burst from the ground to pierce targets. Deals strength times 2 physical damage and applies blood-thirst toxin. The victim loses 500 health and 500 mana every second for 10 seconds. Stacks multiple times. All drained health is restored back to the tree. Bone, tree blossom, sacks on branches rupture, releasing full, area 1000, calamity poison dust. Targets caught in the dust receive 0 healing or shield regeneration and take 1000 poison damage per second. Prison of 10,000 bones low, health berserk skill. Activates when health drops below 30%. Summons dead bones from beneath the altar to form an unbreakable cage, trapping the target. An instant death check triggers inside the cage. The target must pass a spirit 10,000 roll or receive damage equal to spirit times 10. Su Chen pinched his brows after reading through the long list of boss abilities. So many fancy skills. 80% physical damage reduction, single, hit health cap, map, wide slow, health, and mana, draining poison that heals the boss, complete shutdown of heals and shields, plus a cheap instant, death spirit check at the end. He summarized the threat quickly. This boss was designed purely to frustrate players. Melee fighters would become punching bags trapped by heavy damage reduction and slowed movement. Mage-type attackers would get their mana drained by bloodthirst toxin, while 1000 calamity poison dust blocked all heals and shields. Even a party of 10 top-ranked priests could not restore a single health point, leaving the party to slowly waste away. If this boss existed inside an official online game, raid guilds across the world would complain non-stop about poorly balanced design. Then there was the Berserk phase instant death requirement of 10,000 spirit points. Even a fully geared level 30 mage wearing all dark gold equipment would struggle to reach 5,000 spirit. 10,000 spirit was practically impossible. Even after consuming countless abyss crystals, Su Chen himself had not hit that threshold. No wonder the Assassin Academy put up warning signs out front. Who is supposed to beat this thing? While muttering to himself, Su Chen stepped forward and fully entered the altar's boundaries. Rumble. The quiet underground altar shook violently. Notice. You have entered the territory of the great tree of 1000, Calamity Bone. Notice. Doom Roots debuff applied. Your movement speed reduced by 30%. The giant bone tree stirred from its slumber. Dense emerald, green runes lit up across its pale bony branches. The purple sacks hanging from its limbs throbbed faster and faster. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Dozens of holes ripped open across the stone floor. Thick, bone, white vines shot out like striking serpents, lashing towards Su Chen from every direction at terrifying speed. Su Chen did not even bother dodging. He simply stood his ground. Bang, bang, bang. The vines slammed hard against the shield of his abyss dragon, language robe. 1298. 1246. His shield health dipped slightly, yet the damage was negligible against its 80,000 point maximum. Notice, you have been infected by blood, thirst toxin 12 stacks. Notice, you lose 6,000 health points and 6,000 mana points every second. But the next instant, the dark, purple light radiating from Su Chen's poison, warding cloak burst into a brilliant glow. Notice, body of 10,000 poisons triggered. Notice, you are immune to the health, drain effect of blood, thirst toxin. Sorry, your poison does nothing to me. Su Chen grinned at the vines, still hammering his shield. Body of 10,000 poisons blocked all poison, type damage, and every poison, labeled debuff. Rustle, rustle. The great tree of 1000, Calamity Bone, sensed something wrong. Its signature life, draining poison had no effect on this human intruder. Crack. Every purple sac on its bony branches burst open. A thick storm of dark, purple dust rolled out, swallowing the whole altar. Notice, great tree of 1000, Calamity Bone casts bone, tree blossom. Notice, you are inside 1000, calamity poison dust. Healing and shield regeneration reduced by 100%. Notice, you take 1000 poison, attribute damage every second. Notice, body of 10,000 poisons triggered. Damage completely blocked. Su Chen stood unharmed inside the poison storm. Not a single point of shield health was lost to the toxic dust. Other than his 30% movement, speed penalty, he was completely untouched. Finished casting your attacks. Su Chen raised his explosion staff, his expression board. Now it is my turn. He skipped using high-cost spells and simply fired a single lightning bolt. Crack. Lightning struck the great tree of 1000, Calamity Bone's bony trunk. 7001. A 4-digit damage number popped up. The moment the damage registered, the tree's huge body stiffened. Deep emerald, green markings spread rapidly across its pale bone surface. Notice, class trait All Things Rot triggered. Deadly poison forcibly applied to target. Notice, class trait God of Venom triggered. Deadly poison stacks on target maxed out instantly. Current deadly poison stacks on target, 20,218. This poison damage was calculated from Su Chen's 8066 spirit attribute multiplied by more than 20,000 stacks. 195,694,065. A gigantic red damage number floated above the bone tree. Nearly 200 million poison damage was about to land, yet an invisible rule suppressed the blow. Notice, bone armor activates on target. Single hit damage capped at 30% of maximum health. The boss's full health bar did not vanish completely, only dropping by a large chunk. 1 second later, 195,694,065. Another 30% of its remaining health evaporated. A harsh, pain-filled shriek echoed through the cavern. The massive tree writhed violently under the poison's corrosive power. Its uncontrolled vines smashed against the altar stone, shattering slabs everywhere. Health cap mechanic, huh? Su Chen sneered at the rapidly shrinking health bar. Poison damage ticks over time. You cannot cap that forever. 3rd second, 195,694,065. Notice, Great Tree of 1,000, Calamity Bone health below 30%. Berserk skill prison of 10,000 bones activated. Crack, crack, crack. The ground beneath the altar heaved. Countless pale bone claws burst upward, weaving rapidly around Su Chen to form a giant, sealed cage. This was the boss's final, ruthless trump card. Su Chen watched the bone, claw cage close in and made no attempt to interrupt the cast. He stood calmly and allowed the bones to completely enclose him. An invisible wave of psychic energy swept over Su Chen from within the bone prison. Notice, instant, death check triggered by prison of 10,000 bones. Rolling check, your current spirit stat, 8066. Performing validation, your spirit value fails the requirement. You will take 85,000 magical damage. Devastating magical power gathered inside the cage and formed a blinding pale white beam, crashing straight down towards Su Chen's head. This blow would wipe his shield and health pool out in an instant. Yet just before the beam made contact, Su Chen calmly lifted his right hand and activated the sacred ring on his finger. Ding! A clear chime echoed across the altar. Pure golden light wrapped around Su Chen's body, freezing him mid-motion like a golden statue, staff included. Notice, you have activated time stop. Notice, your personal space-time frozen for 3 seconds. Cannot move, attack, or cast spells during this duration. Yet all incoming damage is blocked. Boom. The pale, white beam smashed into the golden statue. Tidal waves of destructive magic washed over Su Chen's form, but the thin golden barrier stood completely unshaken. Who would have thought I had an invincibility skill? Su Chen shouted inside his mind, unable to physically move. Cheap instant. Death mechanics deserve cheap invincibility counters. 2 seconds passed in the blink of an eye. On the 4th poison tick, 195,694,065. With one last agonizing wail, the Great Tree of 1,000, Calamity Bone, went completely still. Its enormous bone-built trunk collapsed, dissolving into clouds of bone dust and purple glowing particles. Successfully slain Great Tree of 1,000, Calamity Bone Gold, rank boss. Experience plus 12,000,000. The golden light faded, and Su Chen regained control of his body. Looks like good loot drop. Su Chen's eyes lit up. He spotted an eye-catching beam of light rising from the pile of rewards and hurried forward. Once the golden light dispersed, treasure of many colors littered the ground. Most noticeable was a massive golden greatsword and a heavy gold, rank breastplate. Su Chen stepped over and picked both items up. Raging Bone Blade Gold, rank Heavy Bone Armor Gold, rank TCH. Su Chen clicked his tongue after reading their descriptions. Both gold, rank pieces had decent stats, yet neither suited his build. Why do bosses always drop gear for other classes? Helpless, he stowed the 2 gold rank items inside his backpack, planning to sell them later on the auction house for academy credits. He kept searching through the loot pile. Amidst piles of high-grade crafting materials, his eyes landed on a gold rank necklace tucked away in the corner. The chain was strung from tiny white bones, its pendant a miniature purple heart. Necklace of 1,000, Calamity Bone, heart gold tier. Tier gold. Equip requirement, none. Spirit plus 300. Affix effect, skill effect. Each single instance damage taken by the wearer can deplete a maximum of 30% of the wearer's maximum health points. This effect does not apply to true damage. When activated against continuous DOT damage, the 30% Maximum health cap is calculated once per second. Damn. After reading the affix, Su Chen's eyes widened sharply. Isn't this the disgusting skill from that earlier boss? It can actually drop as loot? A single hit can never deal more than 30% of your maximum health. What did this mean? It meant that once Su Chen put on this necklace, no person or monster in this world could one-shot him with a single burst skill. Even forbidden spells dealing millions or tens of millions of damage would only drain at most 30% of his health bar upon impact. This is the ultimate anti-assassination, anti-instant death artifact. Su Chen could not help drawing a sharp breath. He suddenly thought back to the shadow of the rift. That foe had endured his full 10-second poison effect and should have dissolved long ago, yet had somehow survived. Su Chen had found it strange at the time. So mechanics this overpowered exist in this world. No wonder that guy did not die from my poison. Su Chen fell into deep thought. This world was truly full of surprises, with all kinds of overpowered mechanics emerging endlessly. However, Su Chen glanced at the necklace currently equipped in his inventory and hesitated. He was wearing the Gargoyle Necklace of Fortitude Silver Tier. Though only Silver Tier, its attached skill allowed him to petrify for 15 seconds, granting near complete immunity to all damage, an extremely useful short-term invincibility ability. Several times before, he had relied on this petrification effect to outlast enemies and turn the tide of battle. There is only one necklace slot. Should I keep the 15-second temporary invincibility skill, or switch to this permanent one-shot protection passive? Su Chen stroked his chin, weighing his options carefully. While petrification granted invulnerability, it prevented movement and skill casting, leaving him completely stationary while enduring incoming damage. Its cooldown was also quite long. On the other hand, the Necklace of Thousand Calamity Bone Heart activated passively with no manual triggering required, offering extremely high fault tolerance. Most importantly, Su Chen already possessed a massive shield from the Abyss Dragon, Silk Robe, and a 3-second invincibility buff from the Ring of Sacred Protection. His survival toolkit was already very robust. I don't really need that petrification effect anymore. I'll swap. Su Chen quickly took off the Gargoyle Necklace and equipped the Necklace of Thousand Calamity Bone Heart. System prompt. You have equipped Necklace of Thousand Calamity Bone Heart Gold Tier. Staring down at the dark necklace resting against his chest, Su Chen patted his chest in satisfaction. Even if a legendary assassin 100 levels higher than himself ambushed him now, he was fully confident he could react, then retaliate by stacking tens of thousands of poison layers to eliminate his attacker. After sorting through his loot, Su Chen walked toward the edge of the altar. Several blades of grass glowing with eerie emerald light grew there, the Abyss Decay, heart grass he needed to collect for Old Poison, Granny's Quest. He carefully harvested all 5 blades and placed them inside a special preservation container. Job done. Su Chen stretched and headed for the teleportation portal. Meanwhile, outside the entrance to the Venomous Cavern dungeon, a team of students wearing Assassin Academy uniforms hurried toward the site. Leading them was a blonde-haired boy wearing a student council badge on his chest. Hurry up. Our instruments detected abnormal energy fluctuations. Someone has entered the Venomous Cavern. The blonde-haired boy shouted as he ran. The students behind him looked shocked. Who would be crazy enough to go in there? Didn't the Academy mark this dungeon as a restricted zone long ago? Exactly. It's full of poison-type monsters that apply slows, mana drains, and healing block effects. Last year, a level 30 senior from our academy died inside in less than 10 minutes. Probably some clueless freshman wandered in by accident. Definitely. He's most likely dead by now, eaten to the bone by all those venomous insects. The members of the student council chatted, their tones laced with schadenfreude and contempt. The Venomous Cavern was a horribly unpleasant dungeon. No sensible person would attempt to clear it. Just as they reached the dungeon entrance and prepared to set up a warning cordon, bright white light suddenly flared on the teleportation formation. Space twisted slightly. Su Chen's figure stepped out of the portal. He brushed dust off his clothes and took a deep breath of fresh outside air. Outside air is so much better. That rotten stench inside was awful. The blonde-haired boy and his group froze. They stared at the completely unharmed Su Chen, their jaws dropping in disbelief. You actually made it out alive? The blonde-haired boy pointed at Su Chen, looking at him as though he were a monster. Su Chen glanced at him, noticed the Assassin Academy badge pinned to his chest, and raised an eyebrow. Senior, is there something wrong? How dared you enter this place? A girl beside him snapped. Do you have any idea what monsters live inside? Those poison creatures are absolutely dreadful. Were you trying to get yourself killed? From their perspective, Su Chen's actions were reckless, disrespectful to his own life, and a direct violation of the Academy's restrictions. Su Chen found their furious reaction rather amusing. He stuffed both hands into his pockets and replied casually. They were pretty annoying. Those poison moths drain my mana non-stop. He paused, then added in a perfectly calm, sincere tone. Though, I've already cleared the whole dungeon. Silence instantly descended over the dungeon entrance. What did you just say? The blonde-haired boy swallowed hard, his voice trembling. You cleared it. Without lingering to converse further with the student council members, Su Chen departed before they could recover from their shock. East of the Assassin Academy lay the Bone Wither Woods. When Su Chen returned, Old Poison Granny sat in a rocking chair outside her wooden hut, sunning herself with her eyes closed, twisting a purple, smoking teapot in her grip. Granny, I'm back. Su Chen greeted her, setting the preservation box holding the Abyss Decay heart grass down on the nearby stone table. Old Poison Granny lifted her eyelids slightly, her cloudy eyes studying Su Chen's face for several seconds, before a deeply confused expression crossed her features. Who are you? Su Chen fell speechless. He took a deep breath and spoke patiently. Su Chen, 2 hours ago, you poured me an amber-colored cup of tea right at this table and sent me into the venomous cavern to collect some grass. Oh, Old Poison. Granny drew out the word, seemingly struggling to recall. After a long pause, she nodded as if remembering. All right, young Su, who told you to gather that grass? That place is far too dangerous. Su Chen's mouth twitched. You did, Granny. Did I? Old Poison. Granny stroked her gaunt chin, then waved her hand dismissively. Old age has robbed me of my memory. Why are you back so soon? Couldn't find the location? The quest is finished. Su Chen gestured toward the container on the stone table. The grass is inside. That dungeon was brutal, though. Mana drain and healing suppression mechanics made it absolutely infuriating. Old Poison. Granny simply hummed softly in response. Those little creatures down there were just pets I raised to pass the time in my youth. I abandoned them in that cave and forgot all about them. Somehow, they merged with the world's natural laws and turned the place into a dungeon. Su Chen swallowed the complaint he had been about to voice. You kept all those as pets. That gold, tier 1000, calamity withered, bone mother tree, and those neurotoxin moths were once your pets. You call those nightmarish, battle-draining creatures little things. Su Chen was utterly stunned. He had assumed the horrifying dungeon had formed naturally, yet its origin was sitting right in front of him. Your hobbies when you were younger were certainly distinctive. Su Chen forced out a dry remark. They kept me entertained, nothing more. Old Poison. Granny opened the preservation box and inspected the eerily glowing Abyss Decay heart grass inside, nodding in satisfaction. Well done, child. The grass is perfectly preserved. None of its spiritual energy has faded. She tucked the box into the wide sleeve of her robe, lifted her purple, smoking teapot, and took a slow sip. A long silence fell over the courtyard. 1 minute passed. Old Poison. Granny set down her teapot and looked curiously at Su Chen, who still stood before her. Young Su, why haven't you left yet? Su Chen's blood pressure began to rise. Granny, I am your student. He pointed to the academy badge on his chest. I ran this errand for you. You promised to teach me something in return. Ah, yes, of course. You wanted to learn new skills. Old Poison. Granny slapped her forehead, finally recalling their agreement. She slowly rose to her feet. The instant she stood, an overwhelming pressure filled the entire courtyard. Old Poison. Granny's gaze swept over Su Chen from head to toe. Her once cloudy eyes turned razor-sharp, peering straight through his skin. Not a single trace of detection magic emanated from her. Yet Su Chen felt completely exposed, every detail of his being laid bare. Exceptional potential. Old Poison. Granny withdrew her gaze, her voice calm and all-knowing. Your spirit stat is extraordinarily high, far exceeding the normal limit for level 20 mages, nearly reaching the threshold for level 63rd tier casters. Your vitality is poor, and both strength and agility are very low. Old Poison. Granny raised one withered finger and traced shapes through the empty air. Your skill build, however, is fascinating. That trait which inflicts mandatory poison damage on every single attack you unleash is incredibly powerful. Your poison can stack infinitely, growing stronger every time you slay a foe. That ability to instantly max out poison stacks on targets is made for combat and destruction. In my long life, I have never encountered such a ruthless poison-based fighting style. Cold sweat beaded on Su Chen's forehead. She saw through everything. She had identified his SSS, ranked hidden unique class traits all, things rot and god of venom with nothing more than a glance. Your equipment choices are also quite clever. Unfazed by Su Chen's tense demeanor, Old Poison, Granny continued her assessment. That robe you wear carries a substantial health shield to compensate for your low vitality, and grants flight, giving you both powerful survival options and expanded combat flexibility. The cloak beneath it came from that giant old toad, didn't it? And that ring on your finger is a relic from the Spacetime Tower. 2 seconds of time, stasis, an excellent emergency escape ability. A full Abyss 4. Piece set, no wonder your vitality is so low. Abyssal power comes with a heavy cost. Finally, her eyes landed on the white, bone necklace wrapped around Su Chen's neck. Necklace of 1000, Calamity Bone, Heart. Caps single. Instance incoming damage at 30% of your maximum health. You defeated that ancient tree as well. Su Chen no longer had the energy to make sarcastic comments. Truly, top-tier warriors in this world were terrifying. One glance, and every single one of his hidden trump cards was exposed. Relax, there is no need to be so nervous. Old Poison. Granny's posture hunched once more, and the crushing pressure vanished completely. Your build deals tremendous damage. When raw destructive power is concerned, even I cannot match you. Yet, in my opinion, your overall class development is still very rough around the edges. Rough around the edges? Su Chen blinked in confusion. He thought of his 20,000 stacked poison layers and his overpowered god of venom ability. Nothing about his setup seemed underdeveloped. Ignoring his confusion, Old Poison, Granny drew a faint line through the air with her bony finger. Your core class traits, all, things rot, god of venom, and doom siphon, which permanently raises your stat caps, are fundamental, unchangeable rules tied to your class. Conventional methods cannot upgrade them. Improvements to these traits can only be unlocked by clearing special hidden realms during class advancement. When I said your build is rough, I was referring to your active combat skills. Old Poison, Granny set her teapot on the stone table and spoke slowly. Take your most used summoning skill, Corrosive Serpent Guard. Is that its name? Su Chen nodded. It lasts for 30 seconds with a 15-second cooldown. Old Poison, Granny narrowed her eyes. Theoretically, as long as your mana holds out, you can maintain your maximum number of Serpent Guardians on the battlefield indefinitely. Unfortunately, this skill suffers from 3 fatal weaknesses. Old Poison, Granny lifted 3 fingers. First, limited attack range. Your Serpent Guardians work well during low-level fights. Against high-level opponents who know how to keep their distance, however, enemies will quickly discover their maximum attack radius. Archers can strike you from hundreds of meters away, safely outside your Serpent Guard's reach. What will you do then? Second, immobility. This is its most crippling flaw. Old Poison, Granny criticized bluntly. Stationary summons are nothing more than easy targets. Once foes learn your Serpent Guard's effective radius, they can simply step outside of it and render your skill nearly useless, forcing you into a passive defensive position. Third, single target damage. Each Serpent Guard strikes one enemy at a time with poison damage every second. Clearing large hordes of weaker monsters is slow and inefficient. Old Poison, Granny lowered her hand and looked directly at Su Chen. Right now, you damage most opponents easily, so these flaws are not obvious. Once you level up and fight skilled, intelligent enemies, however, these weaknesses will be ruthlessly exploited. Opponents will not simply stand still and let you attack them. You must upgrade your skill to fix these 3 problems. Su Chen stood there, completely absorbed by her advice, his mind racing rapidly. If his Serpent Guards could last far longer, or even become permanent summons, he would no longer need to recast them constantly during combat. He could deploy Serpent Guards across the battlefield ahead of time, saving mana and casting animation delays entirely. He could even leave Serpent Guards posted at monster farming zones and return later to claim the rewards. Excitement lit up Su Chen's eyes. If his Serpent Guards could move freely, the thought sent a jolt of excitement through him. This would completely fix his biggest frustration. During previous battles and trials against senior combat projections in the sky, Piercing Tower, he had grown endlessly frustrated when enemies stepped outside his Serpent Guard's 15-meter attack radius to harass him safely. He was then forced to repeatedly resummon and reposition his guardians, trapped on the back foot. Mobile serpent guards would finally make him a true summoner. A vivid image formed inside Su Chen's head. Thousands upon thousands of green, tinged corrosive serpent guards, no longer rooted to the ground, surging forward like a living snake horde, chasing enemies across the battlefield. The sight would be spectacular. Mobility would also let him split his serpent forces into separate groups, executing flanking maneuvers, cutting off escape routes, and launching coordinated multi-pronged attacks. Su Chen licked his dry lips. As for the third suggestion, converting their single minus target attacks into area minus of minus effect damage, Su Chen thought briefly before dismissing that upgrade path internally. It was unnecessary. Area minus of minus effect damage was powerful, yet quantity was his greatest advantage. If his serpent guards could move, he could command each one to attack a separate enemy target. Su Chen glanced at his spirit stat, sitting at 8,066 points. Spirit boosted mana pool and spell damage, and also determined a caster's mental multitasking capacity. With his current spirit value, controlling thousands of serpent guards and directing precise single minus target strikes simultaneously would be no challenge at all. Old Poison minus Granny tapped her fingertips lightly against the stone table twice. Now that you understand your serpent guard's limitations, let's discuss your second skill. Venom Cataclysm. Snapping out of his daydream about serpent hordes, Su Chen focused his attention back on her. On paper, this skill's damage potential is terrifying. It instantly detonates all accumulated poison damage on a target, making it an incredible finishing move against high minus health enemies. Old Poison minus Granny said slowly. Even so, it carries just as many obvious drawbacks as your serpent minus guard skill. Once more, she raised one finger. First, it requires manual activation. During fast minus paced high minus level combat, every extra casting motion creates an opening for enemies to counter minus attack or kill you. You must divert your focus to trigger the explosion. Second, it is single minus target. It only detonates poison on one enemy. When you face monster hordes or high minus level lords that summon clones or minions, you can eliminate just one foe, while the rest overwhelm you. Third, relatively long cooldown. 15 seconds. In sudden ambush fights, you usually only get one chance to land this detonation. If your opponent dodges it with an invincibility skill, you lose access to one of your strongest trump cards for the next 15 seconds. Having finished her explanation, Old Poison minus Granny fell silent and watched Su Chen. His mind began racing again. An active, single minus target finisher skill with a long cooldown. While its damage output was enormous, it had low fault tolerance and required extra attention to operate. What if he could upgrade it? Su Chen took a deep breath. What if its manual activation became a passive trigger? The thought sent a thrilling shiver down his spine. He would no longer need to manually detonate poison. Instead, every single one of his attacks, and every strike from his serpent guards, could trigger a smaller partial Venom Cataclysm explosion automatically. Even if each trigger unleashed only half the normal explosion damage, the skill would become overpowered. Attack frequency was his greatest strength. Right now, poison damage ticked steadily once every second. If every serpent minus guard strike triggered a venom detonation, tens of thousands of poison explosions could erupt all at once. Turning his ultimate finishing skill into a permanent passive, combined with his all minus things rot trait, would unleash devastating nuclear minus level poison damage. Next, changing it from single minus target to area minus of minus effect. Su Chen swallowed hard. If detonating poison on one enemy caused splash damage to every nearby foe, one explosion could wipe out every weak enemy in sight. The perfect crowd minus clearing ability. This was the true power of a mage. Kill one enemy, and every enemy nearby perishes alongside it. Lastly, reducing its cooldown. Su Chen's gaze drifted toward his skill's 15-second cooldown timer. 15 seconds was far too long. Shortening the cooldown to 10 seconds, or even 5 seconds, would drastically improve his safety margin. Or better yet, add a cooldown reset on kill effect. Every time Venom Cataclysm killed an enemy, its cooldown refreshed completely. He could chain endless explosions as he advanced across the battlefield. Passive triggering. Area minus of minus effect splash damage. Reduced cooldown or kill minus reset mechanics. Any one of these three upgrades would transform Venom Cataclysm from a slow, risky finishing skill into a true battlefield minus clearing powerhouse. Su Chen lifted his head, his eyes locked firmly on Old Poison minus Granny. Granny, why choose just one? I want all three upgrade paths. Poison Granny watched Su Chen's gleaming eyes, and a strange curve tugged at her withered lips. You're quite the greedy lad. She picked up a purple minus clay teapot, poured herself a cup of tea, and said slowly, if you want to achieve the effects you spoke of, wishful thinking will get you nowhere. Transforming the form of a skill demands extremely high proficiency, alongside a restructuring of the skill's underlying logic. The Academy has dedicated skill minus training chambers. Pay enough credits, and you may enter to practice. Poison Granny paused at this point, a mischievous glint flickering in her clouded old eyes. But then again, training inside those chambers is a most interesting experience. You will find out just how interesting once you step inside. She waved her hand, dismissing him outright. Off you go? Stop cluttering up this old woman's space. Come back and see me once you have made real progress with your skills. All right, goodbye, Granny. Without the slightest hesitation, Su Chun turned and left. Interesting? How interesting could it possibly be? Could there be monsters to fight inside? Su Chun wondered to himself as he quickened his pace. He could hardly wait to upgrade his skills. 10 minutes later, Su Chun arrived at the Academy's Skill Minus Training Center. It was a massive dome-shaped building whose outer walls shimmered with faint magic-array light. The great hall buzzed with activity, filled with students clad in all kinds of gear. Damn it! What is wrong with this blasted fireball spell? Not far away, a young man in a low-rank mage robe clutched his hair, venting his frustration to his companion. I have trained for 3 whole months. Spent over 20,000 credits. My proficiency has only gone up 5%. His companion looked equally defeated. Count your blessings. A few days ago, I finally got my fireball to split mid-flight, only for it to blow up right in my face. It nearly singed my eyebrows clean off. The higher your proficiency climbs, the harder it gets. This training is pure torture. Tell me about it. I keep seeing those stupid target dummies every time I close my eyes. It makes me sick. Complaints of this kind echoed throughout the hall. After listening along the way, Su Chun had a rough grasp of the situation. Evidently, skill training was far more than simply casting a skill on cooldown. There were hidden mechanical thresholds to overcome. He walked straight over to the front desk. Seated behind the counter was a uniformed senior-year girl, busy checking through her paperwork. Senior, I would like to rent a training chamber. Su Chun tapped on the desk. The senior lifted her head, putting on a professional smile. She pointed toward a huge glowing screen panel beside her. Which tier of training chamber would you like to book, student? We have human-tier, earth-tier, and heaven-tier options. Su Chun looked in the direction she pointed. A detailed price list was displayed on the luminous screen. Human-tier training chamber, 1,000 credits per session. Earth-tier training chamber, 10,000 credits per session. Heaven-tier training chamber, 100,000 credits per session. Good grief, the price gap was exponential. Su Chun's gaze drifted below the Heaven-tier section, where he spotted a line of text violently blacked out by a dark magic seal. Only the faint outline of one character, Immortal, could be made out. Senior. Su Chun pointed to the smudged area. What is this Immortal-tier section that has been covered over? The senior glanced at where he was pointing and smiled helplessly. You must be a new student. She explained smoothly. That is the Immortal-tier training chamber. Its cost is prohibitively high, and what is more, it places an immense mental strain on its user. It has not been used in a very long time. To stop new students from accidentally selecting it, the option was simply blacked out. Su Chun raised an eyebrow. How expensive is it? 1 million credits for a single session. The senior stated the number calmly, clearly treating it as an astronomical figure meant only to deter new students. 1 million credits. The noisy hubbub in the surrounding hall died down for a heartbeat. Several people turned their heads toward the counter. 1 million credits? That is enough to buy a top-tier golden-rank piece of equipment, is it not? Only a fool would use Immortal-tier. Even Heaven-tier makes me wince at the cost. Su Chun ignored the murmurs all around him. You got what you paid for. If Poison Granny had said the experience would be interesting, an ordinary -tier chamber was unlikely to reveal its secrets. Most importantly, he intended to evolve both of his skills, changes reaching deep into their foundational logic, something low-grade training chambers were almost certainly incapable of facilitating. Senior. Su Chun held out his student ID card. Book me an Immortal-tier training chamber, please. The senior's hand froze mid-air as she reached to take the card. She stared blankly at Su Chun, her professional smile nearly slipping from her face. S- student, are you certain? She swallowed, double-checking. One session in the Immortal-tier chamber costs 1 million credits. What is more, The session ends immediately if your mental energy runs out or you cannot endure the pressure and get ejected. I am certain. Su Chen's tone was steady. The senior took a deep breath, looking at Su Chen as though he were insane. Still, she quickly entered the command on her console. Beep minus minus. Credits deducted, 1 million. Immortal minus tier training chamber number 0 unlocked. A purple minus gold crystal card slid out of a slot in the counter. Head down the corridor on your left, all the way to the end. The innermost purple minus gold door is yours. The senior handed him the card, her expression complex. Taking the card, Su Chen said nothing more and headed for the corridor. Silence fell across the great hall. Only once Su Chen's figure had vanished around the corridor corner did the surrounding students erupt into commotion. Whoa, he actually booked it? 1 million credits, just gone like that. Who is this guy? Some rich heir? Throwing 1 million credits away on the immortal minus tier chamber is money down the drain. What an idiot. Probably an overconfident freshman who thinks money alone can max out his skills quickly. A group of senior students gathered nearby and sneered. The mental pressure inside the immortal minus tier chamber is far too much for low minus level professionals to bear. I heard a level minus 40 senior once tried it and got ejected in under 5 minutes. His mental energy was completely drained and he was bedridden for half a month. Want to make a bet? A blonde minus-haired student rubbed his hands together excitedly. I say he gets kicked out within 10 minutes. 10 minutes? You give him too much credit. Judging by his level, he is only in his 30s at most. I bet 5 minutes. 3 minutes. Loser buys everyone drinks at the Nightlife Tavern. Deal. The senior behind the counter watched the rowdy group. Then she glanced toward the empty corridor, shaking her head with a sigh. At the far end of the corridor stood a heavy purple minus gold metal door. Intricate magic minus array carvings ran across its surface, radiating an intimidating wave of magical energy. Su Chen slotted his purple minus gold crystal card into the door's reader. Identity verified. Warning. Extremely high internal pressure detected within the immortal minus tier chamber. Monitor your mental state at all times. The system will force an emergency ejection if danger arises. Click. The massive metal door slid slowly open to either side. Su Chen stepped inside without hesitation. The door slammed shut behind him, cutting off all noise from the hall outside. The heavy purple minus gold metal door closed behind Su Chen, sealing away every trace of the commotion in the hall. Su Chen lifted his gaze. He had expected to see some grim, high minus pressure torture minus style room or cold chamber full of advanced equipment. Yet the sight before him caught him completely off minus guard. The space was enormous, roughly half the size of a football pitch. There was a wide training area lined with high minus energy minus absorbing materials. To his left sat a rest area furnished like a 5 minus star hotel suite. It was complete with leather sofas and a massage bathtub. To his right was even a small dining station. Temperature minus controlled cabinets were stocked with premium recovery potions and nutrient solutions, alongside plates of expensive minus looking grilled monster meat. 1 million credits, and he had essentially rented a luxury VIP suite. Su Chen walked to the center of the training zone, where several lone black minus iron target stumps glowed faintly with runic light. He circled one of the stumps. Is this all? Did I spend 1 million credits just to throw skills at practice dummies? Su Chen muttered to himself. This was nothing like the high minus stakes, grueling immortal minus tier training he had imagined. Just as his confusion grew, a soft blue beam of light projected in mid-minus air before him. The light swirled and coalesced into a lifelike holographic female figure. She wore a form minus fitting uniform, thin gold minus rimmed glasses resting on her nose. Her long hair was neatly tied back, her features refined. A gentle smile played across her lips, giving her the warm, intelligent aura of a caring senior. Greetings. I am the dedicated AI assistant for the Immortal Minus Tier Training Chamber, codenamed Sakura. Her voice was soft as spring breeze. Sakura? Su Chen raised an eyebrow. How do I use this chamber? Sakura gave a slight bow, her tone patient. Student Su Chen, the core mechanism of the Immortal Minus Tier Training Chamber is overclocked restructuring. Every skill you cast here will consume 10 times the usual mental energy and require 10 minus fold greater focus. You will find channeling magic far heavier and more resistant than normal. 10 minus fold mental energy cost. Su Chen frowned. Mental energy was a hidden stat in this world. Unlimited skill minus casting was impossible, even with endless mana potions. Exhausting your mental energy left you mentally worn minus out, requiring rest to recover. Precisely. In compensation, All skill cooldowns and mana consumption will be forcibly reduced to 1-10th of their normal values. Sakura smiled. 1-10th the cooldown and mana cost. Su Chen's eyes lit up. His skill Deadly Burst of 10,000 poisons originally had a 15-second cooldown. Here, that would drop to only 1.5 seconds. Lower mana cost and cooldown, yet far higher mental drain. Su Chen murmured. Now I see how this training works. No wonder so few dared enter the immortal -tier chamber. With effective mental strain multiplied 10-fold, casting one skill here drained as much energy as casting 10 out in the open. Most trainees would collapse from exhaustion after only a few casts. Please begin your training. I shall remain by your side to offer full support. Sakura bowed once more and stepped back. Wasting no time, Su Chen locked onto the black -iron target stump. Deadly Burst of 10,000 poisons. First he launched a basic attack to apply his poison debuff, then tried channeling his main skill. An overwhelming resistance crashed down on him from every direction, as though his arms were submerged in mercury and his magical circuits were dragging through thick mud. A skill he could normally trigger with a single thought now demanded his full, concentrated effort. Whoa, this is intense. Su Chen took a deep breath. Far from discouraged, his competitive spirit flared. He tried casting the skill again and again. Deadly Burst of 10,000 poisons. Deadly Burst of 10,000 poisons. With a cooldown of only 1.5 seconds, Su Chen bombarded the target stump in near uninterrupted succession. Casting each skill was extremely difficult and drained huge amounts of his mental energy and mana. Yet this high-frequency practice sharpened his perception of the skill's underlying mechanics more and more clearly. 20 minutes later, thick beads of sweat dotted Su Chen's forehead. Just as he was about to pause for breath, a soft fragrance drifted through the air. The hologram of Sakura had somehow gained physical substance. She held out a warm, clean towel and gently pressed it against his sweating forehead. You have worked very hard, student Su Chen. Please wipe off your sweat. Her voice was soothing. Caught by surprise, Su Chen stepped backward instinctively. No need. I can do that myself. A faint flush rose to his cheeks. Sakura paid no heed to his refusal and fetched a chilled blue potion. This is an advanced mental calming tonic, freshly prepared for you. It is at the perfect temperature. Drink some to replenish your energy. Take your time. You are doing wonderfully. She held the cup out toward him. Su Chen drank the cool liquid in one gulp. The icy potion slid down his throat and restored most of his depleted mana. This service is absolutely incredible, he thought. Were the people outside all out of their minds? This training environment was amazing, with a helpful AI tending to his needs. Why had they complained so much about mental pressure? Time slipped by. Su Chen threw himself deep into repeated skill modification drills, while Sakura continued to offer constant, encouraging support, handing him towels and potions at regular intervals. Your comprehension is remarkable, student Su Chen. If you grow tired, you may rest on the sofa. I can run a soothing head-relaxation routine for you. Su Chen soon began to feel like he was on a relaxing retreat rather than undergoing grueling training. 1 hour passed. Wiping sweat from his brow, Su Chen called out without turning around. Sakura, grab me another potion. My mana is nearly empty. No gentle reply came from behind him. Instead, a cold, scornful laugh echoed across the training chamber. A haughty female voice boomed through the air. 1 hour and 3 minutes. Training a skill, yet moving as sluggishly as a worm wallowing in mud. Is your brain filled with sewage? Su Chen spun around sharply. The gentle-looking Sakura's form shattered and reformed in a burst of light. She now wore a tight black leather outfit. Pushing up her gold-rimmed glasses, her formerly warm eyes now regarded him with unmasked contempt, as if she were looking down on worthless refuse. What? Cat got your tongue, you talentless waste. Sakura stepped toward him on high-heeled shoes, each sharp click of her heels ringing loudly against the floor. Wanting drinks and towels? You are far from deserving such treatment. From this moment onward, make one more sloppy mistake, and I will publish your dismal training log on the Academy forum, so everyone can see exactly how foolish the so-called top-scoring freshman truly is. Su Chen froze on the spot, mouth hanging open, his hands still held in the casting gesture. His mind buzzed in shock. What on earth? Where had the kind, caring assistant gone? How had she suddenly turned harsh and demanding? Everything clicked into place for Su Chen. Now he understood exactly why everyone outside had warned about the chamber's crushing mental pressure. A less resilient person could well have suffered a total breakdown from this verbal harassment alone. What are you standing there gawking at? Sakura stared coldly at him. Must I chew up the skill instructions and spoon-feed them into your underdeveloped brain? Move, you failure. Su-chun drew a long, deep breath, calming his shocked expression. All right, you win. He turned back toward the black iron target stump. We will see whether I am truly a failure. Deadly burst of 10,000 poisons. Gritting his teeth, Su-chun forced his strained magical circuits into motion once more. The surrounding space solidified into an invisible weight, the tenfold mental burden pressing down heavily upon his nerves. Crack! A flash of blue electricity struck the ground right beside his feet. The sudden jolt snapped him back to full alertness. Far too slow. You move like a slug hibernating in manure. Sakura cracked an energy whip in the air, the sharp snap echoing through the room. Her eyes glinted coldly behind her glasses. Your casting delay exceeds 0.8 seconds, with a 3.2% deviation in your magic circuit formation. Are you channeling magic with your toes? Or has your low-level intellect dissolved your ability to focus? Start over, failure. Su-chun said nothing in reply. He did not even have the spare energy to wipe sweat dripping into his eyes. Whoever designed this training chamber must have been psychologically twisted, he thought bitterly to himself. Deadly burst of 10,000 poisons. Boom. A cloud of sickly green poison exploded against the target stump, shattering it into fragments. Yet before Su-chun could catch his breath, Sakura's icy voice cut through the air once again. Your skill form is rigid. 15% of your blast power leaked outward. You call that a success? If this were a real-world battle, that attack would never kill your enemy and would poison your allies alongside them. 0 points. Start over. Crack. Another electric whip struck the ground near his feet. She summoned a fresh set of training stumps. Su-chun inhaled deeply and lifted his hand once again. Time lost all meaning inside the sealed chamber. Nothing existed but endless, grueling rounds of skill-casting practice. For hours later, Su-chun's vision swam. His legs buckled, and he collapsed heavily onto the floor, gasping for breath as though his brain were about to overheat. Already giving up, a pair of sharp-toed high heels appeared in his field of vision. Sakura looked down at him from above, her gaze devoid of sympathy, filled only with dissatisfaction at his poor performance. It has been 4 hours and 15 minutes since you last ate. You now have 10 minutes to go to the dining area and consume high-grade nutrient supplies. Then report to the rest zone. You are granted exactly 5 hours of sleep. Sakura glanced at her wrist-mounted timer. If you are not standing before the target stumps 5 hours and 10 minutes from now, the emergency electric shock wake-up protocol will be activated. Su-chun struggled to his feet from the ground and dragged his lead-heavy legs toward the dining area. Sleep only 5 hours a day. Even a donkey on a production team wouldn't be pushed this hard. Capitalists would shed tears seeing such a schedule. Su-chun picked up a bottle of nutrient solution and chugged it down. The cold liquid slid into his stomach, slightly easing the burning ache in his brain. He glanced at the luxurious leather bed in the rest area and threw himself onto it. Over the next 3 days, Su-chun got a full taste of what true purgatory was like. He stuck rigidly to 5 hours of sleep each day. Apart from short 10-minute meal breaks, the remaining 18-plus hours were spent grinding relentlessly in front of the training dummy. Notice, release of venomous detonation failed. Notice, release of venomous detonation succeeded. Notice, skill reshaping progress for venomous detonation. 15%. Your mana transmission node snapped. Are you an idiot? You cannot even handle basic mana diversion, yet you dare try altering a skill's fundamental logic. Angle. Your angle is 2 degrees off. Is your tiny brain incapable of grasping 3-dimensional coordinates? Sakura's sharp rebukes were the only sounds Su-chun heard for those 3 days. Like a cold, unfeeling monitoring system, she pinpointed every single mistake he made and tore into him with scathing criticism. On the 4th day, bloodshot eyes ringed Su-chun's gaze. He looked no different from someone who had pulled several all-nighters gaming. Yet his movements while casting the skill were no longer slow and clumsy as they had been at the start. Venomous detonation. This time, Su-chun did not force the skill through with sheer mental power. Instead, he followed the grain of its tenfold resistance, located the weakest point in the mana flow, and sliced into it precisely like a surgeon's scalpel. Notice, release of venomous detonation succeeded. Skill reshaping progress. 68%. A cloud of deep emerald poison mist, far denser than before, burst silently inside the training dummy, with 0 force leaking outward. Sakura pushed up her glasses. For the very first time, she did not crack her whip. Barely passable, half-finished work. She gave a cold huff, her tone still dismissive. You have merely been upgraded from unrecyclable trash to recyclable trash. Do not get cocky. If you hope to turn this single-target skill into an area effect ability, you still have a very long way to go. The whip in Sakura's hand cracked against the floor. Keep going. Burn that mana circuit into your muscle memory. If you fail to replicate it next time, a dangerous smile crossed her lips. I will make you throw up every drop of that nutrient solution you drank. Su-chan wiped sweat from his forehead and pulled a faintly crazed grin. After these days of grueling torment, he had fully adjusted to Sakura's brutal training pace. His eyes hardened with total focus. Bearing tenfold mental strain, every skill cast felt like performing delicate brain surgery. He dissected every rune and mana circuit belonging to Venomous Detonation. His goal was not only to convert it into a passive skill, but also grant it AoE, area effect damage properties. Notice, skill reshaping progress for Venomous Detonation, 75% notice. Skill reshaping progress for Venomous Detonation, 82%. Time moved on to the 5th day. Su-chan had stayed awake for 30 consecutive hours. Standing behind him, Sakura watched the flickering data on his status panel, streams of data flashing rapidly behind her lenses. Venomous Detonation. Su-chan let out a low roar. This time he did not stretch his hand toward the training dummy. He forcibly severed the activation circuit required to cast the skill manually, flooding massive amounts of mana straight into his class core trait. Buzz. The space inside the immortal grade training chamber shook violently.